Welcome to 263 TCP, another new episode. And today we're finally going to be previewing the Countdown Cup, as well as talking about the recent roster moves and other related drama that happened. And I feel like there's plenty of it. I feel like we backed it up plenty well. Some of it feels a little bit old now, but it's just been that long. There's just been a lot of we can't even call it off season, just like stage break stuff happening where teams are making moves and their final moves, because this is we're post roster deadline now. So, well, I guess it can't be the final moves because you could still get contenders people. But I mean, I feel like you'll start to scrape the barrel a little bit there. Maybe we can discuss the quality of some of the contenders pickups in a short while. But yeah, look, we're about to hit into Countdown Cup, guys, and the new patch details finally officially dropped.
Yes.
It's been a weirdly busy news week with, Kiriko coming out like we talked about last show, and yeah, a lot of these roster moves. And obviously we have another stage coming up. So yeah, should be some fun times ahead.
I was so prepared for you to pivot into like Twitch drama or something, like give us the heel turn there, or like I was trying to anticipate it and not be fooled, and then you didn't actually have a heel turn, and now I am still fooled.
Yeah, see, you fell for it again.
You have to vary it up. You have to vary it up. If you think I'm going to do it every time, then you're going to get too used to it. And the real smart play is to legitimately vary it up, where I just don't even do it.
Yeah.
That's how I used to play Among Us.
Shoot the cross up. You don't know.
So
this is really the new Among Us, if we're being honest. This is how it works.
The only sussy person here is you. Okay, don't hate on AVRL's mix-up game, all right?
I've actually just not even really paid attention to the Twitch drama. I can't be bothered.
Same.
Like, it's all so... I don't know, man. Like, it's getting to the level of like Hollywood TMZ. Like, who's breaking up with whom? Like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I couldn't care about their personal relationships or who's dating who and all that. Like, it's just so boring. I don't...
Yeah.
That's like peak parasocial relationship. I don't know, like
it's really powerful, right? To me. Like it's like we had this circuitry to like keep sort of like our Dunbar number 150 person trial in check, and like, oh, did you hear like this guy with this guy, and like, oh, da, da, da. And then that's how you policed your little tribe, and now it's just like it doesn't. It is 90% of it's just malicious garbage.
Tell you what, though, now that it's proven that Twitch can actually get on top of the whole gambling thing if enough people are outraged by it. All we need now is some drama to happen within the hot tubs and chatterbait category, and then suddenly we can start cracking down on the softcore porn on Twitch as well. That would be really good. So you just need some drama to happen there. Someone has to do something illegal, and then yeah, something will go down, and then finally Twitch will have to address it.
That's unfortunate. Nice. It's so weird that we always need like the system to break in order for us to start fixing instead of preemptively doing it.
Well, Twitch likes to pretend they care about issues, but what they care about is making money, and it's only when it's only when like shit hits the fan that's like, well, I guess we have to do something about it. Damn.
Yeah. Shout out to the woman that had sex on stream and therefore is the peak accelerationist that made it.
I like that was only a 1 week ban, by the way. That's hilarious. Like that's only a 1 week ban, and there's like people that do far less that get like way harsher bans or like
it's kind of based stuff. Kind of based.
Yeah. And then that person can come back after their week vacation and be like 5 to 10 times as big of a streamer as they were before they got banned. So the lesson learned here is, like, unironically, do something fucked up like that on stream, and then profit. Question mark, profit. That's actually the reality of the situation. I love that. That's the world we live in.
Do you know who also got fucked? Junker Queen.
True.
Based. JOATS is dead. Shit's super dead. Like someone tried it, right? Like someone tried to run Junker Queen, immediately got slapped. I think it wasn't it in...
No, we did see it in contenders. We did see it trying to be run in contenders in the imagine a Rhine brawler composition, but you're just playing the Jungle Queen instead of the Rhine. And I can sort of see how that could work, but obviously it's just not as effective. It's just it has issues, right? And so it's not that amazing. And to no one's surprise, it did not win. It was not good.
Yeah.
So
based. Good news.
Yiska's trying to talk about things out of order though. Yes. Right? We're going to talk about the patch notes really deep into the episode. So deep that we're going to run out of time. We're going to get to the 4-hour mark. Like, guys, we don't have time for Preds or patch notes today. That's going to have to be saved for another emergency episode.
We're actually going to talk about it so deep that we're going to get a 7-day Twitch ban.
So what's actually going to happen is I think we'll spend 1 hour talking about Geoff Goodman and then 1 hour talking about just Piggy to charge.
Oh, no.
And then
Jeff.
Maybe another hour talking about Glister retiring, and then we'll have to speed through the Spark news and ARNs and maybe NoHill, and then we will run out of time and can't do Preds or patch notes. Okay. I think that's probably the correct pathway. And if we deviate from that, I will bring us back onto that exact pathway that I just mentioned. And I will have the clock open. If we don't spend at least an hour talking about just Piggy to charge, then I'm going to repeatedly bring us back to Piggy in the charge until we hit that 1 hour mark.
Can we
against everyone's will?
Can we? Okay, I'm going to paint the picture. Right,
you're really shitty at painting, but go ahead.
I am. You walk under a bridge in the middle of the night in Los Angeles.
That's a scary place.
You see a guy holding a little, carton cutout.
I don't like where this is going.
With a letter on it. Will design WoW encounters for lunch.
Oh, is that Ghostcrawler?
And it's actually Goodman. What's his first name? Geoff Goodman. And this is why now that I've painted this picture in your mind after him being let go, we can now call the episode title Fields Goodman.
I'll put it down. Boy, howdy, is that fucking reach?
How is that a reach? Now you kind of have to redesign the.
It's
thumbnail.
At least
that punchline was not worth a 5-minute setup. No, that'd be real deal.
No.
Not the slightest.
My problem is I'm running legitimately on like 15% of the processing power available to my brain at usually like let's say 10 a.m. And therefore, like you're getting gamer brain Yiska most of the time.
That's the best Yiska. That's the best like unhinged, deranged Yiska.
Well, I'm still filtering a little bit. Otherwise, like
True.
I'm gonna get us banned real quick.
Let's start talking about the good man. 263 brought to you by Everlivista Bebe, Battle Crab, Refine Beam, Bronze Babuha, Picasso, Chris R34444, Cash 67, Lol Shin, Pork Chop, Sammy Rex, Volamel Smooth Nuts, the YouTube members, Ice Ham Jello, William Jesse, Vishman, Fireman 6, aka Chris R. This one came out of nowhere in some ways. I believe the initial leak on this one, of course, it came from Metro. I don't know if it was really. I mean, you could say it's a leak. I don't feel like this was like some NDA information, but Metro had just casually mentioned on stream. It's like, yeah, so like there's been a lot of development staff changing. A lot of the Overwatch 1 guys are gone, and oh yeah, but I think Geoff Goodman might be gone too. And everyone's like, huh? Because no one heard about, no one publicly had heard about that yet. So that was the first anyone heard about it. That clip started circulating around social media. That eventually made its way to articles and all the rest. So it's another one of the really, really old guys. Geoff Goodman's been there since before Overwatch 1's launch. He's been there since Project Titan, actually. Yep. So yeah, and supposedly this had been happening over the year. So the PC Gamer article actually, and by the way, I always find it funny that PC Gamer only ever does anything related to Overwatch 2 when it's something negative. Anyway, the lead hero design behind Overwatch huge roster characters left Blizzard, made the decision to leave Blizzard earlier this year, apparently. Now, earlier this year, could have been, we have another note here, last public appearance by Goodman was in a group interview with press in June. I was actually in one of those super secret private meetings that happen sometimes behind the scenes about Overwatch, and Geoff Goodman was presenting some stuff there. So like, I've had some like very brief interaction with Geoff Goodman. Always seemed very knowledgeable and someone that knows his job really well, and has obviously just been there from the start. And I can't remember the exact date, but that feels like it wasn't that long ago. If I try and think back really hard about when that kind of happened, like I'm pretty sure even, like June, July, I still saw him. That actually does line up with this June date that they were talking about. So I don't know how long it's been since Goodman's actually been gone, whether that's like a recent thing or not. But supposedly there's also a job listing for lead hero designer for Overwatch. So it all kind of lines up. They don't have a replacement yet. I don't really know what's going to happen in that in the direction of all the hero kind of stuff. And we also, by the way, got a report from Blizzard from Aaron Keller, who's saying they're already playtesting the hero they intend to release in Season 8. So they're very far ahead in the hero development area of the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a good thing when your lead hero designer leaves your company. Obviously, that's not like a sign of strength,
but not necessarily a bad thing either.
Yeah,
depending on which way you look
turnover is at least in my opinion is pretty neutral. Obviously, it's not a good thing, but it's just people shifting jobs and moving to a different company. It's not a terrible thing, especially when, like Avril's saying, like you're so ahead of the process, right? You have some buffer time in between, like now and the next hero. And obviously they've even publicly said it in the past that they have like a ton of ideas and always, workshopping different heroes, and some get a little bit more, fleshed out than other ideas. And some ideas get kind of hemorrhaged and patched work into other ideas. So I don't know. It surprised me that this like got as much traction as it did just in like an hour neck of the woods. I understand like general gaming, like definitely picks up on this and talks about it, and, credit to them for milking a stone, but yeah, I don't know.
PCgamer.com, habitual stone milkers. Love that.
I just don't. I don't know. Like, yeah, cool. Like the lead hero dev left. Like, okay. Like, I don't know. It. I don't understand the community's like somehow like rage, because I'm also hearing like stirrings of like people like running these narratives of like, oh well, Goodman was in charge of all the things that we hate about Overwatch, and it's like,
yeah, how do you know?
Guys,
shouldn't they be happy? Shouldn't they be pleased that he's gone then? Why are they outraged?
I think eventually they are, but like they're outraged because people are saying that he is, and then they're like, I don't know. I don't know either way if he was or wasn't, but for my money, I have to assume that one person can't be in charge of everything that you hate ever, right? Like that seems like a really odd like soapbox to get on. So that's a very odd talking point from a Reddit standpoint. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I don't know that people know how to react to this, because it doesn't. To me, it's just one of those things that really the correct way to react would be like, okay,
yeah, I think that's
happened,
how most people have,
whatever.
actually.
Like,
yeah,
because you don't know. No one knows what the impact actually is. I mean, like I said, they're so far ahead in hero development now. Anyway, it's like, is it good or bad? I don't know that it's good or bad. I think it just simply exists.
Straight neutral.
Yeah. Yep. There's just no, like, of course you can, manufacture both, like, oh my god, this is such an influential figure, and another one jumping off the ship, but also you can equally say, like, the new direction is to pump out heroes at frequent speeds, and this is a guy that has been part of the team that, it took forever to get stuff done. So, like, whatever direction you want to interpret it, I promise you don't have enough information in order to make any case. And
they're
even
not pumping out heroes at any any faster or slower pace than before, to be fair. But
yeah. To be
it's the same pace.
Same pace if you don't count the 3 years where they didn't do anything. But
right.
Yeah, no, I think once again, like this is always such a this is in a way judging this is like voting for coach of the year because you sure as fuck also don't know what happens in the coaching room.
I don't have a fucking clue.
Basically,
but the meta thing is, Yiska, everyone thinks they do. Everyone does actually think they know something about what coaches do, which is why they also feel like they know exactly what Geoff Goodman did or didn't do.
I feel like you should just give him the Dennis Hawelka award just cause. Like just
Geoff Goodman.
Yeah.
Jeff Goodman's got a cute cat.
Right. I was planning to give it to Proper just because in my mind I think he should just get every single award. So
based. So true, bestie.
For no other reason than like just give everything to him is what I was going by.
We're in a scary time for Proper. I feel like when, and Uber has also very accurately like pointed this out, where it's like if you're on top for too long, people will just hate your guts for no reason.
They're just fatigued.
Now the Proper hate train is currently going on, and it's like. It's not good towards award season. Like you maybe do that in playoffs or something.
Doesn't fucking matter. What is the community vote count for again? It's like less than it's 25% or less.
Yeah, but
75% comes from like people that actually know what they're talking about. So who gives a fuck? At this rate, it doesn't really matter. Like even if literally every single fan didn't vote for, and they will because like I think it's still at least half of them still are on the train, and all the shock ones definitely are for obvious reasons.
For sure.
Like I'm pretty sure like he's gonna sweep it from the perspective of like the other voters in terms of team staff, league staff, journalists, etc. So
to be fair, like I'm still hurt from season 1 because the people that should have known
you bring
betrayed
it up
me
every minute.
I'm just saying zero nominations for Profit, 3 for Agilities.
I think we should retroactively give that one to Proper.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
Yep. I don't actually remember if he was even playing Overwatch 2018. It doesn't really matter. I'll assume he was.
He was probably really like loosely
just
assembled protein in a dairy aisle at that time, but
yeah, I don't know. Just who cares? Not even born yet. Just give it to him. Who cares? So cool. Geoff Goodman departed. I literally don't know how much the good and the bad came with
see what you did there.
him. It's all I know is that, well, actually, I don't even, my own personal anecdote on it probably doesn't even matter anyway, because like I said, it's just my interactions with him were so brief.
Sure.
The thing is, by you sharing this, the public now has about 300% more information on Geoff Goodman.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than just.
But I didn't even share anything. I've shared realistically.
He was in a meeting
nothing as well.
He was in a meeting.
Like, I encountered him in a meeting, and he seemed like a knowledgeable guy who was good. I don't know. Like that doesn't even mean anything. I have no idea. I truly have no idea. So. Yeah, it's just another opportunity where we are sitting there like, man, people are either dooming or celebrating, and both probably don't have any reasons to actually do those things. But internet gonna internet. So, what was the next thing on board? I guess we talk about NoHill season, NoHill off season.
True.
Yiska in his minds right now is like, bro, how much do I say?
Yeah.
So I'll give you a moment to deliberate how much you want to say about it. So I'll just go over the facts first and foremost, and then you can figure it out later.
Yeah.
So NoHill had he put out a tweet, which this is, by the way, rare from any staff member or player or anybody from Asia or the Chinese community. Mm-hmm. But NoHill actually has a Twitter, and he actually put out a tweet. He goes, "Hello, it's NoHill from the Valiant. After enough communication, I regret to say I have to be back to my university to complete my last year. It's my pleasure to build the new Valiant in this season because of the boys 100% trust in me. But for many reasons, I can't take care of the whole team well that we didn't play as well as we could. I don't want to discuss or explain more details because close to the difficulties or hardships we actually face at the moment, because our colleagues and players respect and support me a lot, and I'm sorry for my mistakes in the season, but please understand the uncontrollable situation could make everything bad, though here's something extremely unprofessional did happen. But most of us are trying to take it all in and keep going. Okay, English is obviously not his first language. Anyway, Ruhi will help us to complete in stage 4, though we're all back to our university. But please keep support him and our team. We don't provide the care that a professional team should give to our boys, so everyone suffers a lot. I promise it'll never happen again in my team. Finally, pretty thanks to all those who support us, especially the Overwatch League, who help us a lot to let us still be here. And then in some other tweet, he posted, someone's like, oh no, will you ever come back? And he's like, I will come back next year. So NoHill's like still fairly keen to return to the Overwatch League, maybe in 2023 season, pending. So a couple of things here that were also revealed. It was kind of stated by NoHill. Some of it was subtweeting, some of it is like in a more literal sense, but he had essentially been kind of running himself into debt. Supposedly he was running himself and his family into debt by trying to keep the team financially supported. Like, he was paying out of his own pocket for things. So, you know, like, DPay might not have medical insurance or a jersey. Holy fuck, apparently NoHill was just paying for this team. Because this is a continuation of the LGE drama from a while, not even a while back now, from a couple of weeks back, where we were informed, we being everyone was informed that LGE were not paying the team. And the team wasn't getting paid.
Yeah.
And we are now also learning that NoHill was offsetting a lot of that cost personally, and to great personal loss. So yeah, his contract's officially run out, because also his contract was only signed for exactly 1 year, and he signed August last year in the off season or whatever, and now his contract has just run out, and he's like, all right, I'm going back to university, and he's not signing back with the Valiant. Maybe the Valiant don't want him back. I have no idea, but he's gone for the rest of this year.
I mean, this is actually fucking nuts, and
yes,
a complete bankruptcy of the Overwatch League that this has been able to continue as long as it has been. You got to get your shit together, guys. Like, this is absolutely untenable what happened there. Like, it's a franchise league, and you're making it look like a tier 3 team. I thought this shit stopped happening, like, and died with Toronto Esports or some shit. You know, like, this
not to be confused with Toronto Defiant.
Right.
Not to be confused.
Very different.
Yes. I mean, I expect this to be a completely different situation, hopefully for Immortals. They have to change their plan. There's no way you're going to continue the partnership with LGE with the way this season has gone. It's just untenable. I think whatever you think the budget was for Paris Eternal, it's worse for Valiant, and
which means it's under minimum. It's below minimum, is what that means.
Right, which means that it's like nearing, if not like in accordance, or how do you actually say that? What's like the opposite of in accordance with?
Against?
You know what I mean? Like against, I suppose. There's probably a better word, but like
out accordance.
Out accordance. It's not within the guidelines that the Overwatch League has set for their teams. And we've obviously talked about this previously, but the more and more information that comes out, obviously, NoHill kind of divulging a little bit of personal information here. The more and more you hear about, the more and more it feels like there needs to be actual action taken from the league. Granted, it's not an easy move, or there's not like a clear path to just being like, kill Immortals, remove LGE. It's like, it's not that easy, but I don't know what else you need to hear for this to like not really expedite things along. It sounds like there are people being
expedite to what though?
I don't know the logistics or the legalities of this, so I hate to tap out and say not my job, but also not my job. All I can say is that something has to change.
I'm just trying to get an idea, like what is the resolution? What is the action? What is the
action?
Again,
if I knew, the actual inner workings of this, maybe I could come up with an idea, but like it's probably detrimental to actually speculate on any kind of resolution.
Look,
but I know that something has to change.
Look, like if your players don't receive their salaries on time in accordance to the league minimum, you fine them. You have to.
Fine who? Immortals or LGE?
Immortals, and if Immortals wants to get the money back from LGE because LGE hasn't, in good faith, used the provided funds for the players, then there's probably some legal case there. But you gotta apply pressure somewhere. You can't let people just go without a salary for several months, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not something you can do in a franchise league with that kind of buy-in and that type of yes, like it's all downsized and whatnot, and we should probably not even use those comparisons to prior aspirations anymore. But like again, this is not a tier 3 esport in some like warehouse where we are like trying to host a LAN or something. We're like a serious esports league with big contracts, and this is just the bare minimum that the minimum contract. Like this is, it's interesting, very interesting to me that something like the salary cap is a concern of the DOJ.
Yeah.
When the contracts not being upheld, I don't know how the DOJ would look upon that if that was also to be part of the investigation. I don't know why you play with that type of shit. Like with the possibility of making it worse in that regard.
It's just
hard to say.
I still just don't know who the victim is and who
the players.
Well, I'm talking about it from the perspective of like, who actually got played here. It's like in some ways, did Immortals get played? Are they the ones
that's a good question.
Kind of victims
Great
here
question.
as well? Because it's like LG fucked them, right? My perspective is
have to assume.
I think LG fucked them. So it's like, so if that's the case, then it's like, we talked about this last time. I'm like,
yeah,
chasing down Immortals is almost like you're going after the wrong guy.
Yes.
Is kind of what it is as well, from my perspective.
You're going after the wrong guy, but the guy, like if your team does garbage, then the guy at the top of the organization loses his job, right? Like if your government does garbage, then you as a president take the fall. In an ideal case, in a sane society.
That's what isn't that how it works? You just blame the other party, right? Isn't that how it works?
Right. But you guys get the idea. There has to be some.
It was Nancy Pelosi. It was her fault. Clearly, isn't that strategy?
Yeah.
So, like what? Immortals has to. They have to pursue legal action as LG. I mean, I think.
I don't know what the resolution is. Bottom line is players need to get paid. That's the absolute minimum. Players all have to get paid. Players don't have to do all the shenanigans where that players have to like divide their salary in order to get someone else on the team. Players deserve to have full-time contracts and not do this rolling 30-day garbage that should, like, I understand the entire intention around 30-day contracts, how they can be used to, fill needs. Maybe one of your starters, maybe you want to be budget, one of your starters gets sick, you need a solution, you hire someone on a 30-day. That's all fine and dandy with me. The idea of rolling 30 days is unreal to me. Like I'm sorry, that's saving at the wrong end of things, and this is something really the league has to reconsider here. Like,
yeah, because they're the only party that actually knows what's going on, and it would shock me, and it would be kind of appalling if they didn't, right? So like,
I feel like they didn't know what was going on, unless we're talking about different things. I feel like they didn't know what was going on.
I think now they have
way too long. They do now, but this went on for way too long.
Agreed.
Long enough that clearly the league didn't know what was going on, or they did know and didn't take action. I don't know which one. So sort of end the discussion on it. I think a while back people were like, oh man, is NoHill scamming his players to pay for Marvel or whatever. Now it turns out NoHill was the one getting scammed because he's just paying out of pocket.
Certainly
he's actually just paying himself. He probably, whatever his salary was for this team, he probably lost money. He probably like paid out of his own salary and then some, because apparently he's in debt.
He's in debt, yeah.
So damn, dude, like I feel bad. I feel really bad for this guy.
Terrible, yeah. And I mean, like even going past like the legal and like financial ramifications of this move, now you have a team that was kind of just led like as a flagship, like focal point of this team. I go back to the offseason and I'm like, it's NoHill season, baby. Everybody's just, excited to see what the Valiant can do because they know what this coach has done in the past. And now they don't have that coach. So now it's like, no, 100%. And this is no shade to him, but I'm looking at the team's performances and, coming into the end of the season, it's like, you don't have the focal leader. And it's like, is that gonna, I have to assume it's a detriment to the performance.
Under the context of NoHill and the team being financially screwed over for most of the season, I'm impressed they got any wins.
Agreed?
I'm impressed they did anything at all. I'm impressed they took as many quality teams to map 5s as they did under the constraints they were they were faced with.
Yeah,
that's actually an incredible achievement.
It is
to look at it from the other perspective.
It speaks to his strength as a coach. And like, I guess the point here that I'm trying to make is that like without NoHill now, not only is this like a financial burden, is not only this is logistic and like maybe even a legal burden, but like even coming from a performance perspective, coming into the end of the season, like the mastermind of your team just isn't there anymore. Like this is not a good look.
If it wasn't for the fact that I'm planning on giving proper coach of the year, I think NoHill should be in that discussion. Like, but anyway, like all jokes aside,
actually give him the Denser Worker Award for just like nurturing some boys through tough times. But like this is something maybe that we also eventually need to talk about, and this isn't just a NoHill discussion because it's starting to slide into dangerous territories for quite some teams. Maybe there should also be a discussion on protecting coaches. Maybe there should be a discussion of making a mandatory amount of coaches and giving them a mandatory amount of salary that probably should be comparable to the minimum salary of the players. I know you don't have leverage right now, right? Like, you're not making money, the YouTube deal is running out, whatnot.
Asking the teams to pay more money?
Decency. Yeah. Some regular decency and like proper decorum. Like, come on. Is that really worth losing your humanity over the 50K you pay more a year? Like,
yeah.
Fuck it.
It's definitely not to completely, flesh that out, but it has felt for a long time, and I think this is more esports in general, is that like coaches don't have any protection, and like players have little to no protection now. So it's open season, but especially in the past, like if a team was underperforming, it was just expected that the coach leaves because the teams could. That's a change you could make without much pushback or any kind of contractual disputes. It's just you're gone. Adios. See ya.
The coach salary discrepancy is the widest payment discrepancy in the entire league. There are 10x situations where the lowest head coach is paid a 10th of the top salary. That shouldn't happen. I'm sorry.
I think it's God. That is a really interesting subject. I won't continue. I'm sorry.
Well, okay. I was going to add something there. I think I'll save it as we will move on to any further Why? You know, I'm not even going to prompt it. Yiska, you've had the time to speak on anything you want to speak on regarding the Valiant now. So, the rest be buried away until.
I'm proud of us for not getting sunlocked. We trinketed the kidney. We didn't get blinded. Like, good on us. We didn't get cheap shotted. Well done.
Next on the list is we're going to stay within the pack. We're going to stay in the pack here. We're going to talk about the Spark. They have decided to add 2 new players to their playing roster. Teru from Team Diamond, also formerly of the Vancouver Titans, and Neko, who is their assistant coach, now onto a player position as well. Both of these players will be playing support. I think a lot of people don't realize that Teru made a role swap. Teru made a role swap after leaving Vancouver. He is now playing support, flex support specifically. Neko is playing main support. So, some shit went down in the break between Summer Showdown and now. There was a video released by the Spark that is on their YouTube channel, Hangzhou Spark. You can check it out. Where Chengdu head coach and I think team supervisor / manager Anu basically spoke to the fans, the public about their decision making, their thoughts and blah 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 behind the scenes kind of information about why they made these changes. The summary of which is that they felt they were having some sort of internal issues regarding how the supports were working with the team, just basically difficulties they experienced during the Summer Showdown overall. They went 1-5, so they had a very, very poor Summer Showdown compared to Mid-Season Madness, where they had a pretty decent result, all things considered. And they noted they were having some issues with the supports, lack of confidence, some potential communication issues, and they wanted to bring in more supports to the lineup to alleviate some of those issues. And also, in their words, bring some level of competition internally against their own supports so that they have more options to choose between. Which I can respect and I can understand, because you know, there's a couple ways to read into this, a couple of interpretations. One is that are Super Rich and Irony having problems with the team? When I say problems with the team, I mean like problems outside of the game. Like, are there some internal issues relating to behavior or, I don't know, motivation, practice, all those kind of things? For some reason, my mind always goes back to Yveltal as like the prime example of, like, you know, these Chinese team support player, or it could be any player, it doesn't have to be support, but just like some sort of internal thing going on, and teams are trying to fuck around and juggle different players to make up for it. They're clearly feeling like having only 2 supports on the team wasn't enough. They could have just gone for a third, but they've actually gone for 4 because they want both the support positions under pressure from competition to get benched, is my takeaway from this.
Yeah, and I think that underlines the kind of operative statement here that, like, there was internal discourse. And if that's the case, which I think it seems like it is, you have to bring in new players to kind of, you know, at least have a coherent team environment, which I don't hate, but it also just doesn't like inspire a lot of confidence in me. I can't, like, I can look on like Wikipedia and tell you how long Teru's been playing flex support, but like, again, like that also doesn't inspire a lot of faith for me. I think Neko, on the other hand, could bring like a veteran's voice. He's obviously played in the league before, been quite good in the league before, and obviously has had some success in Contenders Korea, but I don't know. It's another one of those, like, I'll believe it when I see it type of Spark, you know, moments where I don't know. It's just so tough to like. And this was the season too that it was so close to being right. And maybe this is the solution, but what do you say? Hopefully this fixes things, and hopefully they can get back on the mend, because like they have so many, and I hate to like just bring up narratives that we established in the preseason, but like they have so many stars on this team that like this should be a competitive roster. So hopefully this fixes it. I hope.
Dude, this is hey man, like this is one of those moves where it's really hard to just like not pop off, because I actually don't have much information, but this sounds like the usual Spark garbage, where it's like you once again have one of the most stacked rosters in the league, and let's call a spade a spade. It's one of the most stacked rosters in the league. Like you have dudes like Pineapple, Benchworm, right? Like the depth of your DPS roster is legitimately like top 3. What the fuck is going on that like you're pulling some clown shit in your backline in stage 4, like after you've demonstrated that you've not been able to build a team environment that can play together as a team, and all prior success was apparently built on like Alpha Yi go kill or Shy go kill. Come on, man. Like,
okay, I'll defend the Spark here for a moment. It's not like Pineapple's gonna like bench Shy, and like that's the only person you can like reasonably see him play over. And
sure,
that's just not gonna happen, right?
Sure.
Like he is a redundancy for like odd metas, and if Shy is sick, that's it.
Yes.
I gotta say though, like, is this a bad call from the Spark? Because it's like,
no, it's not bad.
You could read it from the perspective. Why would it be frustrating though? Because you can read it from the perspective of it being like, well, they're trying to improve. They're trying to do something to fix the team. Isn't that positive? Is that a good thing? Would people rather this team not do anything?
No,
like, if they're losing and not if they're losing and having problems, is the right call to just fucking do nothing? Like, I don't know. Shouldn't this be good news?
To me, I think this would be viewed a lot differently. I think for me, at least, the vector here that I'm like most confused by is signing Teru, who is like a relatively new flex support player coming into a region that like is quite talented. And I think even a league that is quite talented at that position. So I don't expect him to be like an all-star. I don't expect them to just sit on their hands and go, well, I guess we'll go next season. The frustration with this org is that it's the same song and dance every year. They have the roster on paper, but it's just a complete mismanagement. And then they have to pivot mid-season, and it never works out. And they just kind of like,
should they not pivot?
No, it's not that they shouldn't pivot. Is they should just pull their head out of their pants and like try to like not reinvent, but like reorient their roster building process, because something isn't working. And it's been the same since season 2.
That sounds like an off-season thing, though. That sounds like a 2022 is now finished, and now we are doing this again for 2023 kind of solution.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying for now, though, for this current decision, like these are two separate things. Like, yeah, they probably should address how they're building the roster again going into next season. But for now, I personally don't see this as a bad thing for the Spark. I think if they are having issues with the Super Rich and Irony, keeping them both on and just expecting things to improve, I think that's
100%. That's completely, yeah. That's dumb.
My thing is,
I just don't think this inspires a lot of confidence. Like, yes, you have to make changes. I agree.
It doesn't inspire confidence because it's obvious something's going wrong. They're basically admitting, wait, something's fucked up right now. That's what they're admitting.
Yeah.
But I respect that they're admitting that and doing something about it. That's what I respect.
I can respect. I can.
And I don't know that it's going to work out. I'm not saying it's going to work out, but I'm respecting that they're trying. Is what I'm saying.
I can meet you there.
The thing is that, like, in order to get there, there's still like two things that just seem like so bad about this. One, why is it for the nth season once again necessary for the Spark to find some solution to bad team culture or like a lack of ability to work together as a team? Why is it always an implosion in this franchise? How have you not found an underlying solution here? That's the first thing. And then why the fuck is it Neko and Teru, dude?
Well, I can maybe speak to that a little bit. Okay, yeah. Teru is a little bit harder for me to explain. But Neko is already a coach on the roster, so there's a couple. Yeah. So first of all, financially, I think it makes most sense for Neko to just like transfer his contract to a player contract, but his salary doesn't change, or like his compensation doesn't change. So you're not actually paying him more money. Like from a financials perspective, you've basically just added a player for free that didn't exist previously, right? And they clearly trust him, because also in the video they did state that they tried Neko in scrims and he was pretty good. He was good enough that they trust him to be a player on the team should he need a start. That's essentially, I'm paraphrasing, that's essentially what they said. So
you know
they
what
trust
would be
him enough
funny?
to actually play him. What
would be funny is that what they did was they wanted to run a second squad, and they of course didn't have backup supports, so they just like went like, hey Taro, you wanna be like one of us trial bots? And he's like, yeah, sure, I can play support.
I don't think that's the worst idea.
And then Neko is also, and then the B team won against the A team, and everyone's like, the fuck is going on? Something crazy on the on the order of magnitude of this must have happened in order for this to make sense. Maybe
I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy to have 10 players and literally run 2 versions of your roster and play them
some
against
teams
each other.
are playing
like
doing that
from
as well.
From internally though, that's actually insane for practice internally.
True.
It does also screw over 5 players in some ways, but we don't have to get into that.
Fuel is doing it, right? Rascal and 8 are playing for the B team. And it's
are they?
Yeah.
Are you leaking?
No, that's known. That's public.
Is that official?
Known. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. News to me.
No, sorry, are you joking? Good. I can't
no,
tell.
I'm not capping. I'm not capping. Right? 8 and Rascal are playing in like the Field's B team and the B team. Like Hanbin talked about it because he said like Fearless is also practicing like Junker Queen there, and he's just a more aggressive Junker Queen, and they decide like he's just as good, but Hanbin is like a better stylistic choice, and that's why they're going with them. And they found that out basically running the B team, and Rascal and 8 are playing supports for that B team.
Shit.
They still got
I
it.
respect it. I think that's actually this. So again, I think that's smart as fuck to have like coaches that are still good enough to play that you can actually effectively run a B team.
Good way to use player coaches, yeah.
So unfortunately for the Houston Outlaws, their team size isn't big enough to include Jake, but what I'm trying to say is even with Jake and they don't have enough players to do internals, because going back to the Teru point, I actually think it's not that far-fetched to imagine that scenario either that you described, Yiska, given that it seems like they've had a lot of time playing either with or against Teru. Now, something that is pretty common that everyone should know, if you don't realize yet, is that the APAC teams thoroughly scrim against contenders teams from Korea, China, whatever, for additional practice to widen their scrim pool. That is a very important factor, and that is especially important for teams like the Fusion, which have an academy squad in T1. So effectively, when we talk about having internal scrims and having 10 players and splitting up into A and B teams, Fusion can just do that with their academy team. And in previous years, Seoul could do it with Genji, and Shanghai could do that with Team CC, and Spark could do that with Billy. Guangzhou do have Ultra Prime, but I don't know how many members. Maybe they could do it with Ultra Prime. I don't know. So yeah, it's maybe Spark had a lot of scrim practice versus Team Diamond. Maybe that was a very regular partner for them to play against, and they saw something they liked about Terror, because they did, again, in the thing that they talked about in their little video that I recommend for those that really want like a more in-depth dive into the decision making. They had nice things to say about Teru. They felt like Teru was an underrated good player. I don't know. Maybe it's also a case that Teru is cheap as well. I can't imagine that Teru commands a very competitive salary. So when you look across contenders Korea, here's the other thing. I don't know that Teru might not have a buyout from Team Diamond. Maybe he doesn't have a buyout from Team Diamond, or the buyout is very small. I don't actually know. I don't know Team Diamond very well from an org perspective. Like, I don't know how much of their team is like an actual org versus like a player run. Maybe they are like an actual org. I don't. Some of these teams I just don't really understand. Whereas if you try and get some guy from Talon or T1 or whatever, you got to pay some bucks to somebody, and I don't know how much Hangzhou want to spend for a player they're only going to use at most for a stage and a half, a stage in the playoffs, if assuming they make it. So yeah, I don't know. I could there have been better options? Absolutely. I think everyone, like all the fans, look at this for like, well, when was the last time Neko played? Well, why would you get Neko? Like, well, how good is Terror? And he's role swapping as well. And he used to be on the Titans. Like, how good is this guy? Well, why would you get Terror over like X or Y or Z other player?
Yeah.
You know, people probably have their own internal rankings. Like, well, here's who I think the best contenders Korean flex support currently is now. Why would they? Why didn't you pick this guy? Why did you get Terror? And the thing that people always forget is money. I maybe do Hangzhou just have unlimited? I don't know. I just think it makes most sense from a budget perspective to not necessarily get the #1 player.
Yes.
From Contenders Korea, because that shit might be too expensive for a multitude of reasons.
It might be too expensive, and it probably isn't necessarily always worth your while to just like plug good player A into team B and expect that shit to work. I think this is something that Spark probably know all too well.
You could be paying top dollar for a guy that you'll just end up benching.
Yeah,
as well.
Exactly. For the same reasons why you got into this mess in the first place, right? I think that's a discussion that like not too many people are like ready to have, that like good player not equal good team. But we'll soon learn. I think there's a positive, and this is going to sound very condescending spin to this, that it's like at least there are teams still willing to like actually add to their roster. So like I think that's like a good sign. I just don't know if like these are the moves.
Actually,
I don't know. I'm willing to give it a time.
I got a good take. I got a take coming in here as well.
Okay.
It would not surprise me if I don't know about Neko. I'll just speak to Teru. It would not surprise me if Teru's on 30-day and potentially rolling 30-day until the end of the season. Because I wouldn't. If I'm the GM of Spark, I don't sign this guy for a year.
Yeah.
That's too risky. That's far too risky. I signed this guy for however many months are remaining until we get to the finals, the playoffs. Right? That makes the most sense. So, yeah. Cool.
I think the only thing that I would have liked to see, and this again kind of needs to be viewed with hindsight, which isn't a great argument, I understand that, but I look at some of these bench players that the Spark have always had, and I always wish that like we had a little bit more use of them. And I look at Teru and I look at Architect, and I'm like, I feel like Architect could be a better Teru if they actually like had a little bit of foresight. Like if they understood that this could have been an issue like months ago, then like, is there a world where you ask Architect to start playing flex supports just for and which he has done in the past in a very limited quantities?
He did do this year as well.
Exactly.
When he was covering for Ironing.
So it's like, I kind of almost maybe think that there's already like an answer within your team that you're just not utilizing, and you're just kind of
then you can't do the 5v5 internal scrims that Yiska's talking about.
And theoretically, I agree that those are really really cool, but I think we've seen that tried a lot in the past, and it tends to be pretty shitty. And maybe this team can make it work. And again, it sounds like yeah, a lot of teams have tried it. A lot of teams haven't necessarily paid off. So that's where I'm sitting with that.
What is paid off? What does paid off mean? Win the Overwatch League?
Been successful. Been top 10.
What's the measure? Top 10.
Yeah, been anywhere near as has the return actually mattered with having such a big roster? I'd say probably not.
If
a lot of these teams,
I would argue that if you got some level of improvement and success that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten had you not had the ability to internally scrim, then I would quantify that as
another
like
team and salary.
That just depends on your budget, right?
I mean, true, agreed there. But
like if you have the budget to spend on at the time a 12-man roster, power to you. But yeah, I mean, if you don't, you don't. If you do, then what difference does it make? Maybe next year you have a more difficult time justifying to the owners why you need as much money. I don't know, but then you get into the territory of like your budget might just get cut anyway because the owners are not liking the direction of the league. Blah 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 blah.
Sure.
Like, there's too many factors to consider. Okay. Any final thoughts on the Spark here? I think the general takeaway from my perspective is that it's clear the signing of Neko and Teru to me is not the priority here. Isn't that they're the best players? That's not the priority. The priority is that they can get some players on short notice. Probably for a good price that can compete for a spot against Ironing and Super Rich. But the idea is, in an ideal world, Ironing and Super Rich are still your starters, but you're just lighting a bit of a fire under their ass. That's my perspective on this.
What if what if Irony and Super Rich don't play a single game anymore this season? What do you feel about that then?
Then
maybe the problem children are out.
Then that's a problem. That's a bit of
maybe
a shame.
You have a team. I don't know.
Then you hope Neko and Tira are good enough, but then I mean that's the risk you take. That's the risk you take.
Okay. Sounds like something's got to happen.
Could they have signed the best in slot remaining players, who is currently the #1 main support and flex support prospect in Contenders career? Could they have gone for those guys? Maybe they could have gone for those guys. Maybe the cost would have been too high. I don't know. I feel like this is like the cheapest way to solve their problem. And if it'll work or not, then jury's out. But I would also argue this hypothetically, even if you got whoever those hypothetical good players are and brought them in, are they going to necessarily move the needle above Super Rich and Irony, who are already like pretty hyped up players coming in some regards? Maybe not to everybody, but if you paid attention to who some of the best players and some of the best teams in Contenders Asia regions like China and Korea, Super Rich had been on the top of the list for a while. Irony literally won a season with BLG. Like I think these guys were pretty reasonable prospects. Like no, they're not Finn and fucking Chorong, but they don't have to be. Anyway, move on. Talk about some. You know what? Let's talk about something more. We're on this topic. I was going to go to retirements. Let's talk about not retirements, or some retirements. Let's talk about pickups first.
Mm-hmm.
Guangzhou charge. All right, how are we gonna extend this one for now? Let's have a look. Piggy has been signed to the Guangzhou charge, along with Tydolla. So Piggy from Houston into, I believe, free agency, then into Guangzhou, and Tydolla, well, I guess into free agency as well from the Gladiators. For what it's worth, this is Tydolla's return to the team. He actually once was part of the Guangzhou charge a while back, so he's actually returned to the team, working alongside now Sungwoo and Piggy. Well, I mean, it's his first time on the charge, but let's talk about Piggy first.
Mm-hmm.
They have brought on a player that is essentially a clone of Krong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how I feel about that.
But only one of them is an option to Pelican.
I hate that that's like the talking point here. Like,
congratulations to the Guangzhou Charge for acquiring Pelican for the 2023 season. Well done.
I think Tydolla here is like the most interesting move. I think it's like a well-respected coach. We've heard good things from Justice. Like we've heard like third, fourth hand, like a lot of people respect him. I think this roster is on the mend. They actually like perform decently well. Per their
4-2 record.
Yeah, not awful, right? And you add a coach. I think that's a good fit, or hopefully it's a good fit. And that should help things along. I don't know how to view Piggy. Like you said, it's literally just Krong, but maybe a little bit better in certain areas. It's the most odd signing, I think, in recent memory. I genuinely don't hate Teru, given the context, unless Krong is genuinely like needs a break and like has to go back to Korea for a reason. Piggy makes no sense to me. I'm going to be completely honest. I do not understand.
He can play from Korea unless he's just trying to take a. Unless the break you're talking about is like I
can't play Overwatch. But that's what I'm getting at. It's like I don't get how or why you would want to sign a clone of Krong. Like Piggy, who literally didn't play in the Houston Outlaws, can play Sigma, and like maybe Diva, which maybe might be a viable hero this patch. I don't know. It very confusing to me. I don't know. It does not make sense to me in the slightest. Unless you're actually like expecting Piggy to like start like grinding Doomfist and like Zarya, or expect like
needs the main tanks. The main tanks is what's missing from the charge.
Sure, like if that's the case, then I mean it is the case. But like what I'm saying is like maybe Houston has already asked him to do that, and they value that, and he's shown it in scrims, and there's some proof of concept there, and he can come in and actually like have stage time, whereas Houston wasn't giving him stage time because Dante was taking over. I don't know. It's really weird. It's a lot of just assumptions on its face. neither one of them are my favorite picks.
Yeah, I don't understand it. And fair enough. Like maybe this is a future pickup. I still think like Piggy probably underperformed, especially this season. I think that like he showed himself to be a much better prospect of like even flexibility the season before. But yeah, you gotta be, I don't know. You want to have a more inspired pickup than this, right? So it's a rough one. Not really sure. Like I can't make sense of it, really.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, what does this solve? What problem does this solve for the team?
Nothing. At least on its face, quite literally nothing.
Unless you're right, Joe, and they're just not going to ever use Krong again, and they're just like, well, what's the easiest slot in 1-for-1 for Krong? Oh, it's the
Piggy
clone of
work,
Krong
then.
called Piggy.
Yeah.
Then I guess you just get Piggy. It's just like, get that dude in. What this team needs, but if they are planning to still use Krong, then what this team needs is a main tank player.
Yeah.
A replacement for Rio is what they need.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
But there's also not that many around, right?
No. There's not that too many good ones that actually can play like what the tank pool is actually like demanding of you right now. Because I think, and we'll get to the patch, I think this patch is like asking a lot, at least on on some of the first couple, outings on this patch. There's quite a lot of looks to be thrown, and I'm sure we'll file them down, but as of right now, there's quite a bit to do. So these aren't neither Krong nor Piggy feel super comfy right now. I think they have their maps where they're like, hey, Circuit Royal, hey, some Sigma, hey, Baba Booey. Like, that's it. I need, like you're saying, I need a main tank, but those are hard to find.
All right.
See what Mag's
guys, he's playing for Boston.
Bye,
and well, is he playing for Boston? Actually, maybe Boston could make a big team and scrim each other. Because I heard Arns and Glister are available. Okay, let's talk about them though. We'll package that deal together. Arns has been released from Gladiators. Glister is officially retired. Speak on it for several minutes. I will just say, cool. I know Yiska had some extra juice on the Arns thing that he posted publicly on Twitter about the release window, blah, blah, blah. That's something we could probably get into.
Oh, did he get released after? Did he get kind of borked here?
No, he didn't get borked.
Okay. So he's pickupable?
No, but
he's not pickupable.
No,
so
but
he's borked.
He didn't get borked. He borked himself.
Oh, okay.
So
he is ineligible to be signed.
Yes.
All right, that blows my theory out of the water. All right, fuck.
So I was aware of the possibility that Arns was going to be released prior to the deadline. And then he didn't play. And I was like, what if not? Like, is he not?
Yeah.
And then eventually I could confirm that the Gladiators had offered Arns to go FA before the deadline. Arns ultimately at the time decided he didn't want to, and then did then further on decide that he would part ways with the Gladiators, while the Gladiators were prepared to just pay him for the rest of the season.
Right.
And I understand that was a little bit of a weird situation to read from people, but okay, far be it from me to as a journalist to overtly bad for teams. I'm just trying to tell you that my pattern recognition for a team like the Gladiators, and especially as they are backed by the God, are a team that generally does it by the book and goes beyond what is expected of them in terms of the payments and whatnot, right? So, like, I would, if we are ever in the future in a situation where it's once again unknown what the actual circumstances are around a player of the gladiators, I would recommend people to give them more benefit of the doubt than other teams. I think generally speaking, in my mind, as a good Bayesian, they've moved in ways that is generally more fair and generally pretty player positive in terms of how they pay, in terms of how they treat players in their contract situations. And that's about as much as I can say on this matter. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Arns. I tried to find out what is next. I couldn't.
Sure. Think he knows what's next? I feel like this is.
I don't know. Like maybe there's a crazy Glister-esque move in the making. Maybe he's just going back to Valorant. It's also of course always a possibility.
T1's looking for a team, maybe.
Yeah, maybe there's like something to be said about waiting out Overwatch 2 and like wanting to play there and whatnot.
Yeah,
I think like it's a league. It's if Arns ever can go back to his old ways,
and we
he's
saw
of
moments
course,
of it.
Yeah, like but consistently play like this, of course, like you want someone like him in the league. Otherwise, like you just got to do you know. Like I feel like Arns has proven it all. I could understand if he wasn't hungry anymore. If he was maybe frustrated with the situation. I think generally speaking, this would be a decent time to retire. It would also be a decent time to continue and find a new team next year and like prove everyone wrong. Because I mean, effectively he had been replaced with Happy, if we're being honest.
100%.
And I think like that's not only based on, or that wasn't only a good decision based on prior performances by Happy this season. I think it also held up. Where
for sure.
You will all, if you talk to other teams, like they will agree that Happy upgraded them a lot. Right, even though they still missed the Summer Showdown, it's
I think that's not. Let's not like a That's not like an individual performance thing. I don't know.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like I think Arns is also a character that I really genuinely hope finds like what he wants to do in the world. And like I'd be for someone like him, I'd be even elated, honestly, if he had like one of those eureka moments like Glister. I hope Glister has or like all the success in the world there. I think that's unfortunately one of the players that probably always underperformed their potential. He had a pretty good showing for the Shock, I will say, maybe an underrated one. I think he had even more talent to do more
talent. Yeah.
I
think you go back to like that London 2020 performance where like that was not a team that was like ever supposed to like perform well.
Yeah.
And like he was a shining like star of a player that was like willing them into fights they had no business getting into.
Yeah.
So like definitely somebody that if they wanted to probably can find a home in anything. I think that's like some of the transitive skills of esports is that like you learn how to, I guess, figure it out.
Yeah.
And then find your course. So I guess to On's like story for me, as mean as this may sound, I don't know that like I don't know if you can sign him again. I think this has happened enough times that like either motivation wanes or like this is just isn't for him anymore, whatever it is. It's just not like a quantifiable thing. It's not something you can count on. And like going back to like the narratives that we had about the Glads is like we need at least one of these guys to pop off, and like we can count on Glister. So we need either Ons or Patty to actually be that second man. And they were for a little bit until they could find Happy, right? Until maybe some motivation waned, until maybe there were some things that like maybe ate and you know, checked them out. I don't know. That's not my place to speculate, but there was a part of me that wished after like Kilo's kind of tragic underperformance at the Summer Showdown that like maybe Ons just goes back to the shock and like just kind of plays it out there. I thought that would have been a really cool storyline. Sounds like it can't happen. I agree though. He's a talented player. Definitely has left his mark within the Overwatch League. I don't know if this is completely a retirement or a goodbye, but yeah, I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope he does find what makes him happy, because I hope everybody finds what makes them happy, right? Like it's the $1 million question, and definitely somebody that I want to see succeed. So
yeah,
the Glads will be fine. They have Happy. We'll see what Patty's up to, but yeah, I think they kind of lucked out here with Washington kind of gifting them a first round draft pick, if you will.
I also
quite the steal.
I also kind of respect people who think I could just be sitting on my fat salary here and know that I'm not going to realistically ever play ahead, and just sit it out and, you know,
just paycheck steal?
Just paycheck steal from some Texan team.
Yeah, that doesn't do any better, and just, you know, milk them.
But then to not do that, right? And to say, I'm not going to, you know, I'm going to do my thing, and whatever it is, like, I'm going to pursue that. And yeah, no, like, I think, like, as much as the Glister move might be something out there, like, I kind of like when people find something so explicitly new and about their passion. It's just like in such a different domain, right? Like it just speaks to the genuineness of the, like, if you're an Overwatch League player and then you tell me you are very passionate about coaching, I might just think you just want to stay where it's relatively easy and like you're not outside much your comfort zone. Maybe like it could still be your dream to win it as a coach as well, but like maybe it's just something comfortable to stick around. You've been doing that anyway. It feels scary outside. You don't trust your resume to carry you into other endeavors and whatnot. I understand all those frustrations or like anxieties, but I think like there's a certain admiration for people that take that risk and just try something really new, take their transitional skills over to the new domain, still gain from it, of course. Like, I think something that's very true for all gamers is like, dude, if you've succeeded in the Overwatch League and have been like someone that actually didn't just coast but is one of the better players, or has been, like, you know, in the top half, you've proven to me that you have an insane ability to grind. And if your heart is in it, then you probably can become whatever you want to be.
I don't want to make this a tangent, but do you genuinely think that's grind, or is that just a skill set we have like not a great word for in the English language? I think professional like esports athletes across the board that are like within like the top like 1% of players, not like a scrub who like plays for one season and gets benched and like goes on to become like an aerospace like engineer, right? I'm talking about like genuinely good players. I hold this as a pretty strong feeling, at least, that like they have a skill set of like finding. It's not problem solving. It's not just grinding. It's like an amalgamation of like a lot of different like tools that like life just doesn't really teach you, that you kind of have to like be talented in doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's not just like putting in the hours. Anybody can put in hours, but they're not going to become ons. They're not going to become faker, right? Like, and it's not just talent at the game or the respective thing, because again, I think those people can transition into like finding success in business or in education or in a lot of different things. Like they're just kind of, there's just something about them. I don't know. It's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, and I think that one problem is about games, and it's actually not as much as of a problem, but as a strength as well, is you don't have objective goals as to how you win in life, right?
Sure.
Like we have so many different avenues to either compete or be or exist or to be happy, and whatever dance or competition or gladiatorial arena or vibe you want to live with, you can. Games are about winning within a rule set that everyone pre-agrees on, right? And I feel like to succeed in a domain where there are no ifs or buts, that demonstrates like a certain ability. And unfortunately, sometimes it's like the reasons or the reasons why you succeed are as manifold as the reasons why you do it. But let's be honest, there are players that just have very good hand-eye coordination, and there's not much more to them than that outstanding ability. To be fair, most of those all aim, no brain guys are probably filtered out by now.
Yep. You think? Again, I don't want to make this a tangent, but
I don't know about all, but like I think we have significantly less than we used to. I think
Khan got re-signed. What are you guys talking about?
True.
I'm kidding.
I think like we have actually a pretty solid amount of just like really smart players. Dude, I just like someone like Hanbin can probably just go anywhere.
Yes, I genuinely think he could probably go to like some of the top. I am
someone like
Smurf,
someone like Moth.
Yes.
Someone like, I guess
and this goes outside of Overwatch as well.
These are just Ivy League talents, like Silk Thread.
Genuinely,
I think in Stanford now. Like I think it's really hard, or maybe the esports crowds aren't aware. Just these are top talents. Legit, some of our guys are just like top talents, Ivy League type of people that also have the athletic ability to apply themselves, and they could just become the creators of the world, but instead they chose to entertain us by clicking heads very well. And that we're pretty fortunate that sometimes this happens. I think this to a degree also applies to Glister. I think Ans is a beautiful soul in a different sense. I'm not saying that he isn't like smart or anything. I feel like he's just more hyper aware than other people that are, like he just in the realness aspect he's like maxing out. Yeah. And that's always been super appealing to me from his character, and I wish both of them the best.
100%. Agreed. Ditto.
Yep. I'm on board with that. Okay. Talk about Counter Cup now. First thing about Counter Cup let's talk about is going to be the patch notes that just dropped, and an additional note in that as well, the DPS passive, although that DPS passive will not be live for Counter Cup. That will be, I assume, live for playoffs, because Kiriko will be enabled, the game will be launched, and all of this stuff that is intended for launch will be part of that. So eventually we will see it. I still think it's worth bringing up because it's news. It's part of the news cycle. It's part of I would say a reasonably hot topic that is currently being brewed up. So let's go over that first, shall we? The actual I brought this up somewhere. Damn it, why is it when I...
You want me to link you? I got you.
Yeah, go on.
It's on screen.
It's also on screen, but he can't see the screen. It's not great.
Who's looking at the screen? I'm an audio listener.
Audible.
So essentially the old DPS passive has moved on to now be a general passive for all roles, being that you retain up to 30% of your ultimate charge when swapping heroes. Everyone just gets that now,
Cool.
which I think is a healthy change for the game. I think that's something that actually incentivizes, or not. Actually, incentivizes the wrong word, because that's the word that everyone's trying to use when they're being like pro hero swapping. So let me just say it this way: it's to lessen the punishment of hero swapping, not necessarily incentivizing, but lessening the punishment. To some people, that might sound like the same thing, but I think there is a nuance to be found there, where there is a difference. Anyway, so the new DPS passive is now going to be on release. Eliminations grant 25% increased reload speed and movement speed for 2.5 seconds. Does not stack with itself, but will refresh the duration. Yep. Okay, there's some thoughts there. There are some thoughts on that. A lot of thoughts. And really quickly, just before that, temporary health now grants 50% reduced ultimate charge instead of 0 ultimate charge. So that way, when you're shooting green HP, you're at least gaining something instead of no ultimate charge, which I think is fair as well. I know there was a lot of pro player feedback that not getting any ultimate charge from green HP felt weird and not good for the game. So,
definitely counter to
that being said, that kind of nerfs heroes like Ball a little bit, because now Wrecking Ball's green HP is like, I don't know.
Less good.
Certainly less good.
Yeah.
So what this damage roll passive?
Yes. So I have a prevailing theory. And I know that this is not going to be in the Countdown Cup. I'm going to make that very clear. But this is going to be assumedly live for the playoffs.
Yes.
And I think that, I believe I first kind of saw this with Reinforce had a tweet, and I'm sure plenty of other people have had tweets about this as well that kind of pointed this out. But this is very much like a snowball-y kind of mechanic where, first kills were always a marker of teamfight, win percentage success. I think going back to like Winston's lab era statistics, like it was up in like the 60s, maybe even nearing 70s. Maybe you can correct me if I'm, off base there. But this was definitely always something to be on the lookout for. First kills, very, very important. Obviously, first deaths, inversely so. 72%, again, like very, very impactful. So having not only increased reload speed, which in a way is kind of like more damage uptime, which you could view as like a DPS increase, but movement speed it definitely affects heroes not on a linear scale. So if we assume that first kills are going to be very important, and we see that Kiriko's coming in with a 3 times damage multiplier, and we have Sombra, who I believe is a slept-on vehicle for Kiriko's offensive capabilities, coming into vogue and having their hack being, I think, 1.75 second silence now.
7.5, yep.
Yeah, I'm thinking Sombra Kiriko is just on the menu, boys. I think this is just going to be a thing, and I think it's going to be a little surprising. That said,
to be clear, Kiriko getting the kill doesn't give you the passive unless you already had an assist in there.
I would have to imagine that you're probably at least getting some damage in there to qualify for an elimination.
Yeah.
That said, I'll get off my own soapbox for a second. And yeah, I think this is a big snowbally thing. It's a win more. And it just doesn't affect every hero the same way. And it's probably going to enforce or help to enforce metagames that are a little bit more healthy as a viewing experience. So I think this is a good thing. I think it's a very fun thing for casual players. And before people try to go back to last show and be like, hero swapping is, you don't think they swap anyways. It's like, no, I don't think most people hero swap. I don't even think most pro players hero swap. But I think this is a qualifier for incentivization to actually get people to think about swapping, because I don't think they normally do for a lot of reasons. So I think good things.
Are we talking about the new DPS passive?
Most of what I just said was about the DPS passive, and then like the final 30 seconds was just about.
Because I think the new DPS passive is not healthy for the game.
I would disagree.
And I don't think, even if it was fun, it's not healthy for the game. It's not fun for everybody else, because win more mechanics are not good game design, in my opinion, at all. Things that encourage snowballing, not good game design. It just makes losing. When you lose, you just end up losing harder. When you win, you just end up winning harder for no reason other than because the game decided.
Would you like to have ults on a timer then, rather than damage gain? Because like you win harder if you win the first fight, you have more ult charge, therefore win more mechanics.
Well, we're actually seeing you're getting more ult charge, but we're not. So you're not seeing like an insane amount of ult charge difference unless one player had an outsized performance in a fight.
True.
Right. Over the course of most, even in a JOATS meta that we just saw, when you win a fight, you're quite regularly winning a fight 5-0 up. You have 5 alive, and the other team is completely wiped, which should be the most like juxtaposed way to win a fight. Like, that should be the most like, you know, contrasted way to win a fight. And even then, when you really observe the ult differences,
it's really not that big of a deal.
There's the only player that might have a huge ult difference is like one Genji popped off and the other one obviously just died early, and there's like a 20% gap there. But everybody else is like very close, remaining parity. You know, everyone else is like legitimately within 1 to 2% of each other. So when you're losing a fight, you're not even necessarily that far behind. Whereas, and by the way, that's talking about the macro game, the overall game. Whereas this is like within the actual, this is like a minutia micro moment within the actual fight itself, where if you start winning the fight, you just win the fight even harder. So right. I think we're talking about 2 different scales of things as well, Yiska. So they're not quite aligned. And I also don't think the ultimate charge difference is like a huge deal anyway. Sure. If I did, then we'd be having a very different discussion, and like the amount of ult charge you're getting off one fight would have to be way higher, and currently it's not the case. Fair. So my position is pretty similar to Reinforce's, and he basically said that he sees issues with this. I'm seeing issues with this. I personally don't think DPS needs a passive. I saw a joke comment that was like, your DPS passive is you have double the hero pool of everybody else.
Yeah, you get instant
like,
Qs.
That's kind of true. That's pretty fucking true. No, you don't get instant Qs actually because you have them to wait.
Yeah. You have 10-minute Qs. That's your passive.
Oh, but your DPS passive is that you just have an insane amount of options of heroes to play with. That's your DPS passive. Yeah. I don't think the DPS needs a passive, like, because the other roles have a weakness that they're trying to fix. Right? Tanks, you know, they're big. They don't need to be CC. Yeah. They're giving away a lot of ult charge. That passive helps like fix up a bit of a weakness for supports, right? If they're in a solo situation, or if the team's not coordinated enough, or if they don't have LOS and they can't heal each other, you can just sort of hide away. You know, most supports either don't. Well, okay, they do heal themselves, but you don't really want to have to burn resource to heal yourself. It's nice to be able to just like break LOS and break out of combat and get your health back a little bit. Like that does help. Here, this just makes DPS stronger. Like it's not fixing a weakness that they have. It just straight up makes them a lot stronger, and they're not in healthy way because it's a conditional buff, a conditional passive that only kicks in when you're already winning, that then just lets you win more. So we get back to the win more situation, and I think win more mechanics are super problematic in games.
Yeah, I don't like them. Yeah,
I think I agree generally. But where I see this being applied is to a lot of the like most sought after heroes for the majority of like viewers and players. So in the short term, I don't hate it. And then the long term, I see this being more, and I think maybe tuning could be looked at for sure. But I see this in, you know, impacting individual performance and allowing people to like really have some you know, extra flashy moments that I think is something that we all could use more of.
That's a dangerous pathway to go down. That's to me is no different than early Team Fortress 2, where Valve added random crits into the game. So on a random shot, you would do like fucking 4 times damage for no reason other than like, I don't know, random RNG is exciting and bad players can get away with killing good players sometimes just because of RNG alone. Like that's just not fun design. You just randomly die like that, and so maybe like this is not as bad as that. This is like more tame, but under the same line of logic, it's like, oh yeah, but it just creates more of these whatever moments. I'm like, but that's not good for. I don't think that's good for the game.
It's one of those things that I'm willing to at least see before I pass complete judgment on. I think it could be definitely a lot more exciting. I agree, like random crits and like TF2 or tripping and brawl was anything random is definitely the quickest way to turn me off. But this, I feel like, rewards DPS. It rewards more flanking. It rewards maybe some hero plays. That I think could be very exciting. I don't know.
I don't think we needed that. I think they get plenty reward as it has been.
Yeah. I would say, like, I could see it be a great dopamine dispenser if you're playing DPS. I think that it's going to be fun,
even though it's bullshit. Of everybody else's experience.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And like, when you weigh it up in pros and cons, the pros do not outweigh the cons for me.
Yeah, I feel the same. My initial reaction was like, what the shit? Like, this is a little. I'm sure there must be like something else that's like equally fun, but not as powerful.
Let me bring up a suggestion for you. I was actually thinking about this one. What would be if we have to have a DPS passive? And again, I don't even think we knew, but I'll play along. Let's say we have to have a DPS passive. What is a far healthier DPS passive to have that maybe fixes a problem that DPSs have? And one problem that does exist for DPS, and this has been brought up in stats, is that DPSs have a higher death rate than any other role. Okay. Because they're obviously way squishier than tanks, and they're far more likely to be playing in front lines next to tanks, but without any of the damage mitigation with the large health pools, etc. So I can definitely see where that comes from. Now, I also have another factor that I look at from DPSs, and that's kind of like pop-off factor, and an ability to clutch, an ability to create exciting moments from allowing yourself to overcome like negative odds. So instead of definitely this is like the opposite of win more. This is more like you are up against poor odds. Is there something to help you equalize? And that might sound alarming to some people, but just wait for this one. I think a healthy DPS passive would be either 5 or 10% global lifesteal for damage done.
I mean, I'm here for some bold takes, but that's interesting.
In my mind, you were going like
out of combat
movement speed. Yeah, when you die, you get quicker to the fight
faster.
Yeah, maybe you.
No, I don't like shit that messes with movement speed. I think that's dangerous. I think things that like do anything. This is why I also don't like this new badge, because it messes with the movement speed. Anything that it does, it's been shown multiple times in the past that things interacting with movement speed makes things crazy in this game. Especially because movement speed also stacks. No, I don't. I think messing with the respawn, you don't want faster respawns, because then that changes the pacing of the game, and incentivizes DPS to just like throw bodies in instead of playing strategically for their life. Yes. Let me explain the lifesteal a little bit more, because I think like that needs a bit more explanation before people get fucking crazy in the fucking keyboards. So just chill your keyboards for a second, just unplug that shit and listen for a moment. As I listed, the problem with DPSs is that they have a higher death rate than the other roles. The other thing is, especially if you are a flanker as well, you are probably not with an LOS of healers. You are probably on your own mission, and you're also having to rely on healers as a damage player is kind of rough as well. But it's a very small amount of healing. So let's imagine 10%. Sure. 10% of a Cassidy headshot is only 14 HP. A regular shot is 7 HP if you're hitting that at all. Which if you're hitting every single shot like 7, 7, 7, 7, maybe it's a reasonable amount, but no one's that consistent anyway. If you're hitting like any other sort of damage, 10% is a very small number. But to put it in perspective, Reap has 40% lifesteal right now. Currently has 40% lifesteal. To balance that, you would reduce that to 30, and then he gets the extra 10% from the roll passive to stay at 40%. You wouldn't want him to be at 50, but I think 40 is still safe. Now, what does 10% lifesteal do for you realistically as a DPS player? It doesn't replace healing. You still probably do need to find health packs to actually get real healing. You probably still need to actually go to your supports to get real healing, like fast healing, because even on damage dealers like can lose considerable amount of damage, you're getting like less than 10 HP per shot, right? And for a 200 HP hero, it's gonna take a while to heal back up off that alone.
Yeah.
what it does allow you to do is clutch out situations where maybe you are in critical HP, but you're able just to slightly top yourself up from damage you're doing to maybe overcome some small situations where currently maybe you die, maybe like you get hit and you die, but with this you just manage to weave in one extra shot, and instead of dying you're on like 5 HP or 1 HP or whatever, and you're just able to maybe still have an opportunity to have a 1 versus 2 outplay, right? Because I think those are some of the best moments that we've seen.
For sure.
Some of the best moments that can occur is like when you're good enough that you can achieve like a 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3 outplay. Now, I wouldn't want that to be super common. I don't want it to be so easy to make that outplay happen that it's just happening all the time.
Yeah.
But to enable it to happen like even slightly more often, because like when I say slightly, I really mean slightly, like very subtle way, means that you can slightly just keep yourself back in there. And I look at it from a perspective of like playing ADCs and marksmans in League of Legends, where they have lifesteal, and their lifesteal is a lot more egregious in some ways, even though I think Riot's done a pretty good job of keeping that under a lid.
Yeah.
Where very small outplay scenarios where you just heal barely enough to survive against the extra skill shot that you can then absorb, and then a couple different outplays, you dodge vulnerability, steal a little bit of HP, and then you just barely come out ahead on very minimal HP. Those are some very cool moments in 1v1s or even 1v2s when you see players win 1v2s in that sort of scenario and you just barely heal enough to stay alive. I think that's great. And I think 10% is so subtle and so small anyway that you can maybe in some rare occasions get those cool out plays, but it's not such egregious healing that you're just like out healing and all this damage coming into you. That's not occurring either.
Agreed.
So to me, it sounds pretty reasonable. I hope I made it sound reasonable from the explanation.
100%. I think it's definitely, it fits the idea or the expectation of what a passive kind of should be. This passive doesn't feel subtle at all. It feels incredibly powerful on face value, and we haven't even seen it played. Obviously, with some of the nuance that we laid out with first kills and whatnot, like it is a snowball mechanic. This game's already kind of inherently snowbally. This only like leverages that value even more. So I agree there. And I think the lifesteal thing would be kind of interesting to see play out. But the more that I'm like thinking this one through and hearing you kind of explain that case, the more I'm like, there's really no like good, like there's no good solution for DPS passives because there's just such a wide variety of heroes.
Just get rid of it then.
Yeah,
just have none.
It feels like you're convincing me more and more that like DPS probably doesn't need one. Because like there's nothing, like every season would probably just have to be a new DPS passive that just favors one set of heroes more than it does another one. Like this one right now. Eliminations grant 25% reload and movement speed. That inherently affects flanking DPS that are always going to be like their uptime is higher than other heroes, right? Like this affects Tracer more so than it does Bastion, right? Or more so than it does Torp, or more so than it does Soldier 76 for the most part. Or more so than it does like Ashe, but in a way that kind of also helps her. But regardless, like it's not a linear scale for a lot of these heroes. So they're either just like knowing this, they're just like trying to enforce dive metas, which that seems a little too like foresighty for me to apply to Blizzard. And yeah, like the lifesteal thing feels subtle enough that it probably could work, and you probably would see some pretty cool outplays. It's a toned back version of what I hope this should be. I think it's a good idea. I can't really think of too many abusable pathways for it. Like you're saying, 15 to 10% is probably not enough to like just warrant not being able to be healed. Maybe it makes, the same heroes a little bit better. A lot of the times you're seeing Sombras and Tracers and Genjis being a little bit more self-sufficient, playing for health packs on the wings anyways. Yeah, I don't hate it. It's either that or we just get rid of the damage one. I'm cool with that too.
Or something else just super subtle, but I can't, nothing else comes to mind that's super subtle that solves any sort of quote-unquote problems that DPS have. And it's not just about outplays either. It's also just situations where like, you want to be self-sufficient as a DPS and not be like ultra reliant on supports. This just allows you to be just slightly more independent, which I think is a good experience for DPSs, just giving you a little bit more control. A lot of that also comes in the placebo as well, as like I feel like it can be way more self-sufficient, which is sometimes enough and fine.
Yeah, agreed.
It was fun in CS used to have a mod which was like the Warcraft 3 mod, and when you got kills, you got XP for each round.
You leveled up
and you leveled up, and the unholy tree, the undead tree had life leech in there. I remember
in CS
when I was 15 or 16.
That seems wacky, but all right.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
It was a lot of fun. Like,
okay, let's talk about the actual the rest of the notes now. We'll fly through some of them and maybe just talk over the important ones. If there's anything else that you guys feel like is important. First and foremost, Junker Queen, big nerf, commanding shout. Allied bonus health reduced from 150, so halved. Allied duration reduced from 5 to 3. And temporary health no longer decays over its duration. I mean, it's so small now that that's fair enough. Cooldown increased from 11 to 15. So that's a considerable increase in cooldown. And half the HP.
Yep.
And from what we've seen, that seems pretty effective. I mean, we've seen, at least in Contenders Korea, which is already on this patch, next to no Junker Queen gameplay, and what Junker Queen gameplay there has been has not looked very convincing at all. Has not looked good.
Yeah.
So, yep, we can safely say effectively she's has been nerfed into the ground. Correct. But not when I say she has been nerfed into the ground. She's been nerfed out of the meta, but still, in my opinion, exists as a niche pick that could replace Ryan in certain brawl comps.
Interesting. I feel like I also have a solution to that comp, but it's not Junker. We'll get to who I think it is.
Oh,
it's Orisa.
It's
who
Orisa.
has 250 to 075 base health, 250 to 275 base armor, so 25 more health, 25 more armor. Energy javelin reduced cooldown from 8 to 6. From all meta reports that I've heard, Orisa is still fucking bad, so she's not gonna get any gameplay.
Yeah,
base.
I expect her to not see any play. But she's definitely like one of those sleeper picks, like a Sombra or a Reaper in the past that like Blizzard is consistently pushing.
The difference is Sombra and Reaper have very specialist niche roles that other heroes can't really fulfill. Whereas Orisa doesn't really fulfill any niche roles. Like
she really doesn't do anything.
If anything, she's too generalist and doesn't do anything particularly well. That's her biggest problem.
And I think the moment where they start to like give her a role, she's going to be so overtuned because all she's gotten is buffs for like the last like 2 patches. It feels like that like she is going to be like busted out of her mind.
That's the thing. The problem isn't her numbers. It's not that she doesn't do enough numbers. It's that her job is better covered by other heroes from a utility standpoint. That's the actual problem.
Yeah.
So just buffing the numbers, what's going to happen is eventually, if we keep going down this pathway, you're going to buff her numbers into some stupid position where now she's too buffed and broken that you have to use her. She's just going to be the Junker Queen.
That's what I'm saying.
And so she's just going to get shoved in and shoot into a meta simply because she now has 800 HP. It's like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Like something stupid like that.
She's just going to be like some crazy juggernaut centaur horse robot lady who just like can't be killed and just kills your entire team.
What she actually needs is a really reliable gap close.
Yeah.
I'm really like lean into her being a brawl hero and being a hero that can get in and give her a reliable gap close. Like, I'm not saying she should get like Ryan's pin, but something that can just get her interaction way quicker than a javelin spin. I legitimately would not even be upset if they reworked javelin spin into more of a movement ability that gave her some frontal vulnerability. You can even just keep the javelin spin ability as it is now, but it only lasts 2 seconds, and during those 2 seconds, you're fucking charging in as a horse.
Yeah,
dude,
because she needs a gap close. That's her biggest weakness.
You just know someone spent like one of their genie like wishes on Orisa, and it was like, I want Orisa to be fun, and the genie goes like, she's fun now, but she sucks and it's unplayable. Like, that's the type of shit that
is the genie a monkey who curls its paw?
Yeah. It's a monkey paw.
I think is it djinns that usually like in that fuck around with wishes?
Can I be real? Is it the worst thing in the world that we have one tank that doesn't really see reliable game time.
I don't think
at
it's
the pro
too
level. Because
crazy.
here's the other thing is, I think she's fine at the casual level. I think you
Yeah,
can get mad
super
value
fun
in
to
the
play.
casual level, and she's fun, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Not every hero needs to see pro game time.
No.
Right? We don't. I will forever be okay with Junkrat not seeing serious game time.
True.
And I will
Same
never
for Sim.
fucking shed a tear.
Yep.
Well, Sim is a little different because I feel like Sim's utility is quite interesting with the TPs,
Yes,
and she's the only
sure.
hero that can do that. And I like the creativity behind TPs.
Yeah, I like her
so I will
ability
miss
to
that.
break maps.
There's nothing about Junkrat that I'm going to
support.
miss from him not being played. I'm just okay with him not being in the meta at all, ever.
Yep.
Right? Same as Roadhog for pro play. Like, why are we crying over lack of Orisa when Roadhog's in the exact same book? And in a lot of cases, Diva's kind of in the same book. Not quite as much. And we'll get to Diva. But am I crazy?
Ways, yeah.
Like, does Orisa need all these buffs? Like, okay,
No.
I was meant to be a rhetorical question, but the answer is in some ways yes as well, because people are like, of course she's weak. But like, weak for who? Weak at pro level doesn't mean she's weak at a casual level, is what I'm also saying. And again, the problems are not her numbers. It's not that she has low numbers. It's that she doesn't
do anything.
She doesn't fulfill a role that other heroes don't do better from a role perspective.
Give her something unique.
That's it.
Give her something that like nobody else has. But like I 100% wholeheartedly agree with AVRL. The way that Blizzard is balancing Orisa is not the way to go about it, and you're probably causing yourself way more harm than you are good, because this is probably only going to continue because you're judging it off of like play rates.
This is also, you're buffing her at a stage where she's still not going to get played an owl, because she still doesn't do the things, because you haven't solved the issue with her for the owl level. But what you've now done is, even with this, just like 50 more HP with half of that being armor and like a quicker energy javelin cooldown, like that might actually be enough to make her a bit more oppressive for casual play.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you haven't achieved the goal of porting her an owl, but you've actually made her just more egregious for the casuals. So actually, I think you've just failed on both sides from something like this, potentially.
And I hate to just like, really fast, Yiska, I hate to just like tell Blizzard to do more work, but I think this also applies to Junker Queen, where it's like, there's something inherently wrong with how the hero is designed, and the only way that you're going to fix it is not to tune the numbers per se, but to actually look and see what's unhealthy about the hero or what doesn't work about the hero and fix that first. For Orisa, she doesn't do anything. For Junker Queen, she has a busted ability that does a lot.
What if Javelin Toss was a CC?
Oof.
And it has
tank.
Yes, but
kind
like one that has a longer duration, and the quirk about it is that you can't pull the javelin out of yourself. Someone else has to.
No, I'm not about that. The reason I'm not about that is because we get into the territory of like super reliance on your teammate. This actually goes against the new Overwatch 2 design philosophy, where it's more about your own individual impact and individual play, and this is now dragging us back into the pits of Overwatch 1, where it's like, my ability to succeed is now really, really dependent on my teammates' ability to coordinate or their competence now. I don't want my gameplay negatively impacted by the lack of competence from my teammates.
Right.
Which is why Overwatch 2 gameplay is better for people that can actually just play on their own, you know, the solo queue experience.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So no, I'm not about that.
Yeah.
I could just imagine people raging. It was like, my fucking team, they're not saving me from. Like, just no. It's
the Thresh Lantern reversed.
Yeah. Would it be too crazy to like also look at Kiriko's ult and like see the kind of Kled inspiration and maybe give Orisa one in a smaller way with like Javelin Spin? Where she like charges in and like the path behind her, like you get movement speed to charge in?
No, we don't need tanks buffing other people. Like buffs should very much just remain within supports.
Fair.
As their thing. That's right. Okay. CC should, like how CC is kind of just being pigeonholed within tanks. Let's pigeonhole buffs within supports and not allow that to be a thing that other people do. No, I just think they just need to give her a gap close. Just allow Javelin Spin to be a very short duration gap close, and I think that's fine. I seriously think that will improve her gameplay by a shitload. Let's talk about Diva now. Boosters impact damage increased from 10 to 25. Micro missiles cooldown reduced from 8 to 7. Core mech ultimate cost reduced by 12%. Very minor buffs. I think the 10 to 25 impact damage is actually
that's sizable,
potentially significant, because that allows you to hit certain breakpoints on combos when you boost in melee, left click, micro missile, all of that together. I have heard some rumors that some teams are doing some experiments with D.Va and trying to play her as a Winston replacement. So it is possible that you might see some D.Va gameplay in Countdown Cup. Fingers crossed. No promises, but teams are far more positive about D.Va than about Orisa. And,
oh, for sure.
Orisa's basically rock bottom still in terms of positivity, whereas D.Va's like, yeah, maybe there's something here, maybe.
Yeah, I think we're kind of seeing as much, and maybe AVRL, you can comment on this. In Contenders Korea, obviously they got the patch a little bit earlier than most, and we had some.
They got the patch.
They got the earlier than everybody.
At the same time as everybody, they're just playing it earlier. Yeah,
sure. And we still saw some D.Va there, so it's definitely earlier in the show I talked about like how there's like a lot of tanks in the menu. D.Va, it looks like she's at least viable at the professional level, and not like in some like weird off meta NoHills like crazy ganja LSD dream type of way, but like actually it looks like it's awesome.
No, Valiant wasn't even the team playing D.Va. That was Shock.
Well, I mean, Shock did also play it, but Valiant had some Dorado stuff with it.
That was Krusty Crack Pipe playing the D.Va.
Yes, Kaluge definitely
not NoHill Nicotine. And let's see if Kaluge will play some more D.Va. Who knows?
Possible.
I think D.Va being an alternate to Winston is very healthy because it kind of alleviates durable problems that currently exist in Overwatch, where if you actually look across a lot of rosters, there's not a lot of main tanks. Most teams are just running their off-tank player, and even teams that do have a main tank, like Atlanta Reign, are not playing that player and are just playing their off-tank player. So effectively, they don't have a main tank. You might as well consider Gator to not really be on the team at the moment. I seriously doubt he's going to get game time, which means Hawk, again, needs to learn Ryan and Winston pretty fucking fast, or you have a situation where D.Va becomes playable and Hawk's like, I can play D.Va. Yeah. And now D.Va's actually a viable alternative to Winston. I want to see D.Va in a position like Ash was to Sojourn, where it's kind of like an A1, A1, A2 kind of situation where like stylistic choice of which one you want to go to, but both have their role to play. I think that's pretty healthy. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Echo a lot of the same points. I think that D.Va definitely is in a better place now than she was previously. And even previously, some teams were finding success with her. So definitely in the move in the right direction with some of the DPS changes as well. Less the passive, more the other changes we'll get to.
Brig. Inspire duration reduced from 6 to 5.
Poggers.
Yeah.
It's important. But
Inspire is still like one of, if not the strongest abilities in the game.
Yeah.
One of the strongest non-ultimate abilities. Consider that Inspire doesn't get blocked or cancelled by anything.
Yeah.
You hack a Lucio, he just loses his entire kit. You hack a Brig, the Inspire still works.
She's still churning. Yep, she
can still swing a fucking mace at you with a left click and trigger Inspire despite being hacked. I had a coach explain that when I had a conversation with the Overwatch League coach. I had a coach explain this to me just in terms of driving home how strong Inspire is. He says this to me: Inspire is so good that it's not even cancelled with death.
Yeah.
When Brig dies, the Inspire is still fucking going. That's how strong it is. That's how strong it is. Not even death removes Inspire. That's how fucking insane it is. So that's why I laugh when, like, I don't know, Overwatch Battle.net forum plebs are like, oh, Brigida's so weak. It's like, you have no idea. You guys are so shit at this game. You have no idea. Because you're not very good at Brig, you don't understand how good she is. You're saying she's weak and she needs buffs. Holy fuck.
It's actually wild how much, like, how quick of a shift Brig has gone from, like, being, like, the low skill floor, or, like, the high skill floor, like, real easy plug and play type of support that she released as, to, like, kind of being subtly one of the more hard, like, main support-esque heroes in the pool at the moment.
It's just because of the range. It's just because of the range. You have to play so close that you're constantly at risk of dying. That's literally it.
Well, I think there's, like, yes, I think that's the vast majority of what makes her, like, a difficult hero for, like, a lot of the player base. So it's like, it's in the inverse of Orisa. I think Brig is one of those heroes that's like, yeah, plebs can't play her. That's fine. Like, leave it for the pros, and she's still very, very good for the pros, and that's fine. Leave it alone.
She's one of those heroes that, in the hands of a skilled player, she's
so impressive,
crazy good, like so fucking insane. But in the hands of everybody else, is like, I don't know where to stand. Why can I not permanently heal my team from 50 meters away.
Yeah.
So
it's a toughie.
Rant aside, good debuff. Good debuff. Good nerf, rather. Good nerf. They still have to do something about the rally. I think there was some commentary from the dev team about the fact that they weren't happy about rally's current place in the game, where it's just like, it's literally just a downgrade from Overwatch 1 rally. But yeah, they haven't quite figured out what to do with that yet, so we'll get there eventually. BAP. Left click damage increased from 24 to 25. Actually kind of huge, because that means you can hit certain breakpoints now.
Yeah.
And then the primary fire minimum fall-off range increased from 20 to 25, which I think means you have 5 meters of extra range before your damage starts falling off. Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, that's how I would read that. And then the primary fire is also a 3-round burst, correct? So it's not really 20. So it's not really 1 point of 75. Damage. Yeah.
So it's 75 if you hit all 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a sizable buff for BAP. I don't know if it's enough to like.
Wait a minute. 75 that's 150 damage headshot, right? So you can
guess, yeah.
So
if you hit all 3 headshots,
you can one tap a tracer now.
Theoretically,
if you hit all 3 headshots of tracer, you've one tapped the tracer. You couldn't do that before, so that's what I'm saying. Like the breakpoints have changed, which is huge.
Yeah, anytime you tweak stuff like that, like you got to go back and do the math and see what is possible now, and it looks like it's definitely possible to one bang a tracer, which is kind of crazy. I think for as little text as there is here, I think there's definitely a lot of offensive potential that BAP now has. Like I was kind of talking about, like added damage is always like a big move, no matter how small you may think it is. Like added damage is very sizable, and BAP's always been somebody.
Dude, Shoe's eating good coming up. He's got Kiriko coming out. BAP's been buffed.
Oh, I can't wait to see that kid on Kiriko. Holy.
Like he's eating good. Okay, does anybody here care about Mercy?
No.
Okay, moving on. Bastion.
No.
Nope.
Okay,
there's nothing. No, the Bastion stuff we do have to talk about, because that's a significant change. No, the Mercy stuff is like the GA change or the crouch. They're just trying to make GA easy to use, and Angelic Descent can now be activated by holding crouch. Okay, all right. Moving on.
One thing I will say about Bastion is that like we did see him get like an incredibly niche amount of uses against like JOATS as like an opener to like close holds. I don't imagine this to be like much of a buff in that way, but
this is not a buff for Owl. You will not see any gameplay from Overwatch League with this. Okay, what is the buff first of all? Ironclad passive is enabled again. 20% damage reduction while transformed. My goodness, I think he actually does need this.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm defending Ironclad, but Bastion, when he transforms into Wheels mode, he just dies.
Yeah.
When my experience of playing Bastion in the beta is every time I press shift, I feel like I can't walk forward. I legitimately feel like I'm about to die as soon as I press shift. And he feels very vulnerable.
Good.
Because your hitbox is ridiculous. You're like the size of a tank. Well, it is a tank form, isn't it? So, yeah, this is actually kind of positive. It's better for the casual player, but this probably won't move the needle for Al.
It's better for the casual player, and it's also not as oppressive as it used to be. Like, this obviously was a passive that they tried to implement way back when, and it immediately got removed. I think it was also higher damage reduction as well, but agreed. Yeah, this is probably healthier for new Bastion with a better tuned damage reduction. So, yeah. Good for those that it's good for.
Okay, Reaper. Hellfire Shotgun spread reduced from 8 to 7 degrees.
More damage.
That means slightly more accurate shots, right?
Yeah. Unexpected.
My problem with Reaper is he is probably the primary benefactor from the new DPS passive, which, again, is only going to be live in the live game, but we are going to get there for playoffs. So he's going to have more accurate shots, and if he gets a single elim, he's going to go buck wild with attack speed and reload speed and move speed.
Shoutouts to the early climbers.
Just reload speed and move speed. That's still a lot, though. That's still a lot.
That's great for Reaper. That's insane.
No.
So, any early climbers?
I can't think of a hero that benefits more than Reaper from that. Maybe Tracer.
I would say Genji.
But aside from Tracer, like Reaper. Genji during. Okay, but I still think Reaper.
Reaper's great as grow.
Let's be real. Genji doesn't need the movement speed because he's got a gap close already. Sure. Tracer, okay, she would benefit, but again, she's got really reliable gap close and blinks and mobility there. Reaper just has to run at you, so he needs that 25% movement speed way more than Genji and Tracer.
Yeah,
just saying. Which is why I think Reaper is a primary benefactor of the new DPS change.
Sure,
the passive change. But 8 to 7 degrees, yeah, okay. I mean, maybe they were a little bit. This is kind of almost undoing one of the nerfs they gave to Reaper previously.
Yeah.
All right. We're getting to the big ones now. Sojin. Railgun energy gain from non-player targets reduced by an additional 50%. Oh dear. Actually, this kind of like weakens how good she is versus like a Sigma and a Ryan.
Yeah.
This just says to me that once again they are targeting how often a Sojin can obtain rail, which I think is like a reasonable nerf.
Fair play, yeah. I think this is like an elegant one, like you're saying, that it's like an indirect buff to like barriers, turrets, things of that nature that like also weren't being played. Obviously, they weren't being played because Junker Queen was oppressive, but I think this is like a really interesting way to look at the game. That I think you look at like the rest of these changes, like damage, movement speed. It's like energy, ult charge against certain targets or like this that. Like, it's very elegant in like where they're trying to point people towards. So I like this change a lot.
And we are seeing from Contenders Korea and from my knowledge as well, there is still Sojin being played, but from what I can tell, she is no longer a 100% pick,
right?
Which is healthy for the game.
It's great.
So we take that.
Yeah.
What is maybe beginning to get close to a 100% pick, though, is good old Mexican lady. She never stays away for too long.
She never does.
Sombra is back, baby.
Stop. I don't want to.
Hack.
Tell her to fix her, man. I don't know.
Ability lockouts to the silence. Ability lockout duration increased from 1 to 1.75 seconds. So again, only 3/4 of a second increase from 1 to 1.75. Not even as times 2 increase. Just a 75% increase. Not a 100%. Is enough to put her into serious meta contention. Yeah. I am seeing in Contenders of Korea and also from what I'm hearing beyond that, a lot of Sombra gameplay. Sombra Tracer, Sombra Sojin, Sombra Genji, Sombra plus anything really.
When you've it's one of those heroes that's just gonna have such a hard time in Overwatch 2 because like the identity is that she's like hacking and disabling enemy champions, which is like inarguably like a version of CC that other DPS just like can't have. So when you like allow her to set up either her flex support or her second DPS or her tanks to just like jump on a target, I don't think it's a great, like, it's not like a fun thing to play against. It's also very, very strong. I don't think they'll ever get it right. Sombra, like, yeah, it's 70.75 of a second.
Can I just, I didn't actually supply an opinion on this yet, so I will do it now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that crazy. Like, I think this is a very tame buff. Of course, she's getting a lot of playtime, but is that bad? I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think she's overpowered. Your silence for another 0.75 seconds. Again, less than 1 second extra.
Agreed, yeah.
And she needed this as well because her hack before was
was dog shit.
Fucking shit.
Yeah, it was not good.
A 1 second hack, no one cares, dude. No, like literally, what a joke.
And I understand.
Absolute joke.
I can already hear the instantaneous rebuttal of what I'm about to say, but I don't, for my opinion, my own take, I don't know that like locking people out of playing the game is like a necessarily good thing for video games.
What? Would you say that 1.75 is too long? Because to me, it's reasonable. 1.75 is very reasonable.
It is. I would agree it's reasonable, but at the professional level, I do have to wonder if it is just too much. To me, as Club Little Writer Boy, I'm seeing a significant play rate increase. I understand where she's strong. It has to be very abusable. It has to be very strong. Ergo, it must not be like that bad, right? It has to be.
I'm a Sombra apologist because I'm biased with Shanghai winning. No, because I'm a Sombra apologist because I think she is one of the few DPS heroes that is very focused on team play, and I rate that highly. I like that about her kit. I like that she, especially in Overwatch 1, was a very team play focused because her individual. Unless your name is Lip, you were not dealing lethal damage. Sombra was not a lethal hero unless your name was Lip.
A lot of doggy Sombras out there last season.
So Sombra in Overwatch 1 was mostly, like, to be honest with you, kind of a support hero.
Yep.
A support hero in the DPS slot. Because her damage was not great, but her ultimate was amazing. And hacks allowed you to set up plays. And so because there's a lot of setup of that, and I like the minutiae of the strategy there of map control, setup, line of sights, Sombra positioning, and setting up dives and all like that. That's very interesting to me. I like all of that. It's a sort of a team play focused aspect that I really enjoyed about Sombra. And I'm glad that she can be brought back in that way. And I think 1.75 seconds is very fair. It's not, to put in perspective, 6 seconds from Overwatch 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so before anyone freaks out, 1.75. Remember, she had 6 seconds in Overwatch 1. This is
which is
so tame. This is so tame.
Yeah.
On top of that, like, a lot of her damage is baked into like the hack amplification for herself. Which, again, she was never really meant to deal damage. She never was a great damage dealer unless your name was Lip. So like it's never about dealing damage, at least for me. It really has more to do with like the minor window that feels massive at the professional, level, where the counterplay just isn't there. Like you actually.
So it's 5 seconds from Overwatch. Anyway, that's still you know what I'm saying.
It also feels so bad. It's just such an unfun. Like you gotta design abilities. Like even if that was fully balanced, it's not fun, right?
Yeah.
That just fails completely on that level.
And it goes across.
But then what's the solution? Because the devs have stated that they've tried various other versions of Sombra with her hack. They tried versions where no silence is occurring at all. Yep. And in all the versions where she doesn't silence at all, she just feels bad to play.
Bad. Yeah.
So what's the solution then?
I have to lump.
Delete. Did you just
delete Mercy? Delete Mercy first, and then delete Sombra second. If we want to go in that pathway.
Censored by Discord. I'm tired of these.
You said delete, and Joe deleted. He's just exited.
No, I think the devs, this is like a dev problem child. Like I think Orisa is just a dev problem child. I think Junker Queen is going to be a dev problem child. Like you're never going to like get her in a space that's also like healthy. You have to like re-envision what the hero does, and I hate that that's just such a nebulous and like really general statement. But like the devs are saying, and like we're seeing, she's either like really, really strong and like sees a lot of pick rate, or she doesn't get played at all. And I just don't know.
Because what she does is niche. Her job is niche. That's why.
Agreed. So it's either like you give more people silences, which I don't think is healthy for the game.
No.
Or she has to be kind of re-envisioned. And they tried that, and it's I don't know. Sombra is a hard one. And I don't hate if it's just for like this. If it's not super,
you know what they call the situation devs find themselves in when they have like problem children like Sombra and Sojourn and Orisa. Feels Geoff Goodman.
Okay, I have a suggestion. I'm gonna throw this one out there.
Yeah. Hit me.
Manual hack time. Okay, there's a little bit of convolutedness about this because I'm about to change the interaction of hacks from either manual and EMPs. Manual hack time. The manual hack duration for silence is now 1.5 seconds, not 175.
Huh?
But the EMP is now 2.5. But your bonus damage to hack targets is, what is it currently? 40?
Yeah.
It's now 25. No, fuck it, 20.
20% just flat? Just like instead of
you
40,
deal
it's
20.
20%?
You deal. Yeah, your damage bonus to hack targets reduced by a whole 50% from what it is currently.
I'm not gonna lie.
So essentially, what I'm getting getting towards is I'm moving her a little bit further back into a supporting role that still retains some of the damage.
Yeah.
Because the hack is still significantly weak, and again, 2.5 seconds of an EMP silence is still only half as good as it was in Overwatch 1, which is 5. What I'm trying to do is give a little bit more power back into the EMP, which is what she was all about in Overwatch 1. Like that, all Sombra gameplay was revolving around, for the most part, building EMP and then deploying EMP and letting that carry your team fight. So I'm trying to put the power back into that and give us a little bit more of the Overwatch 1 Sombra gameplay without the ludicrously long silence period of 5 seconds, is what I'm trying to get towards.
I like that more. I think her EMP, even going back to like Kickoff Clash, like hand tracking some of the stats, like it was an abysmal win rate when EMP was used versus teams that didn't have Sombra. Like it was actually hilarious. Like the EMP into lose combo was very, very real. So I like wholeheartedly agree. Like EMP needs some love. I don't think like hack is where she needs help. I think her ult just doesn't feel fun anymore. It doesn't feel impactful because it isn't impactful. So I agree. That vector is where they really should be looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. So that's my take on Sombra. I also think, for what it's worth, the increase in damage to hack targets for casual POV is not fun. Because I know that if you are playing against a Sombra in a casual game, and obviously if you're a support, you're just going to get fucked by her. She just appears, hacks you from stealth, and just like rails you down while your team doesn't even know what's going on. They're clueless and they can't even help you. That feels bad. So I'm trying to take some power away from her straight up left click damage and put it into the EMP, because at least the EMP, it only comes up once in a while. And her left click damage is not as fucking insane with the hack, which feels better for the casual player also. So I'm trying to help a brother out here.
I think the kind of pseudo patch notes or the hypothetical patch notes that you like for Sombra is elegant in that way, because it leans her more into the niche pick of being this more supportive DPS. It kind of like allows her to retain her not class fantasy. It's not WoW, but like the fantasy of like this hacker-esque hero that's like disabling people, but without it feeling oppressive and without her having to be this like flanking threat. I think that would be cool. I think you probably don't see her play it all that often, but when you do, it's kind of cool. It's kind of neat, and I think that's maybe where she needs to sit.
The identity of the hero should sit in the EMP, not as this fucking invisible assassin.
Well said.
Because that shit is not fun.
Yes.
Okay, patch notes done. Are we finally ready for Preds? No, in fact, let's just end it. No, okay, are we ready to do Preds? I don't know.
Let's do Preds. We can zoom through them. Let's pick a couple.
Let's go. Ready, Preds. Also, by the way, just quickly, meta, I think we're going to have some stylistic choices here, at least in the first week.
Good.
It feels like it, yeah.
That is my ideal Overwatch game.
Yeah.
Where teams can play their own style, their own read on the meta, their own stylistic choices, and build their own identity as a team instead of everyone just playing the same fucking shit. That is my ultimate dream. Yeah. Houston, Boston. Reminder: Houston has creative now.
Am I gonna say it? I'm gonna go for it. I think if we're talking about stylistic choices and a team that I think was woefully under celebrated,
you said woefully.
Coming out of the that's the hashtag woeful. I think Boston is a stylistic team. I think given metas,
you're smoking the punk pack.
I'm smoking the punk pack. I'm smoking some like weird Sigma packs. I'm smoking some weird like death ball shit. And I'm gonna give Boston the edge here. I'm gonna say 3-2 Boston.
Nah, this is like a 3-1.
You want to hear a take?
Shoot me.
You want to hear a take?
Hit me, baby.
I think Punk's been benched again.
Say it ain't so ever, please.
You want to know why? You want to know why? Because the off-tank hero pool is not great for this meta, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The reason why I don't think it's good is because I think Winston is flavor of the month again for this meta.
No Doomfist?
And the problem with Doomfist is you're going up against Sombra Ana.
Ah, true.
And Sombra Ana kind of fucks you hard. So
you're right.
And Sombra just got buffed, so now you're hacked out for 1.75 and you can't block and jump or do anything.
Nope.
So
I'll surrender there. You checkmated me. I'm gonna Carlson out of this one.
And look, listen, as much as I love my brethren Punk here, as much as I enjoy Punk in Australia, Mag has got the better Winston. I think we all have to be objective in our understanding. You are definitely picking Mag's Winston instead of Punk's Winston. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. That's assuming Boston are trying to play what I consider to be meta. Now, if they're going to be doing some wacky stuff, then Punk will be in, but he'll be playing full-time Sigma. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
Punk's
playing Winston.
No.
I don't think Punk's playing Winston.
They probably shouldn't.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to think about Boston. Part of me wants them to play. Part of them wants them to just play meta and play Mag, but then part of me is like, maybe they should just keep punking and play something else. But then if they play something else, I'm like, what if that's just worse compositionally? You know, fuck.
I mean, if you can look at like a London and kickoff clash, if you can look like at a Florida at least qualifying for the summer showdown, like we've seen some strats at least get you to the dance, and I feel like that's at least a win for Boston. No. Like this is if you can make this instead of a 70-30 in a meta mirror to like a 60-40 doing some ganja shit, I'm here for it.
I will very controversially say Boston win 3-2.
My guy.
Nah.
My boy.
And let me explain why. Because I don't trust Doug.
Let's go. You trust Dante though.
The problem is Dante can't play tank because I think because Doom is weak in this match. So if you stick Dante on Doom, you are setting yourself up for failure. I promise you.
Yep.
Now Houston might make me eat my words because like Houston will somehow just outskill Boston, or Boston will just do a Boston thing and lose anyway. But like even if Houston beat Boston with Dante Doom, Houston playing against any team on their level or higher, you're going to see that Doom crumble. So in the long run, I will still be correct, even if Houston somehow beat Boston. Is what I'm saying.
Epic hedger.
And also Dante is like one of the better Sombra players. You want this guy on
Sombra.
Yeah. You don't want him on a Doom. You want him on Sombra.
That's not wrong. Yes.
Base.
So I don't know. I think creative Lastro is better than Crimzo MCD though. I do foresee a bit of some double flex support coming back, but I don't think Crimzo MCD is bad either. I don't know. Doge is
interesting.
The Doge is the point that sticks out to me like a sore thumb that I'm not too sure about. So I'm willing to lean Boston because of it.
Sure.
My guy. All right, Dallas Justice.
And that's it for Preds. Yeah. I'll see you guys next week.
So, are there any interesting games left? Let's see. I think Atlanta, Toronto is pretty meaningful towards end of season standings.
I think it's also, and maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but I feel like we're going to see a big market correction for Toronto. No, do we feel that way?
Oh, sorry. Are we just doing 3-0 Dallas Washington moving on?
I would say.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So Atlanta Toronto.
Yeah.
Remember, Hawk's hero pool is important here. This is another Doomfist team that is affected by the fact that Doomfist is not that great. So
it's true.
I think Muse is maybe back in. I think Muse might be back in to play the Winston legitimately.
Certainly could be. That's also very true.
The thing is,
or teams are forcing some off tank shit. I don't know.
I feel like if you're
still not available, I don't know.
If you're maybe, but if you're like really able to force your meta, then I mean, Hawk can probably play something serviceable.
Maybe
and
a diva.
This is the first, like then it's like speedily Kai all the way, and I'm interested there. I think although gets body backed.
No, I don't. I think Venom plays.
That's my guy. Let's
I think Venom
go.
Plays. So you are not one of Kai and Speedily is not going to be in my opinion.
Yep. And you know what? It's probably not Kai, or it probably is Kai.
So when you say is Kai, do you mean Kai is in or out?
Yeah, Kai is out. I think it's Speedily Venom.
Speedily Venom, yeah.
And This boy's about to open up on some Tracer. I think they play Sombra, Tracer, Diva, whatever the supports are.
Speedily Sombra?
Oh, actually. No. You're right. No. You're right. No. You're right. I guess maybe it'd have to be Genji, huh?
Do they even play Sombra?
Venom probably. I mean, Brad said Venom that's like the role they wanted him to play, so this would be like a litmus test.
What about Nero Sombra? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Maybe. I don't know.
They gotta win this. This is like direct thing, like who if you want to have a chance for playoffs.
Well, it's rough to have an important game first week in like a new meta. That's rough.
Really open meta as well.
Yeah. Define is sitting at 13 points, Rain is sitting at 12.
I think this goes for me, this goes back to like bare, just the pieces that you have, like what you've shown me all season long. And yes, Toronto's coming off of a really, really big performance. Obviously their biggest, I think in franchise history. But I don't think that meta, a lot of transitional skills from that meta are coming into this one. I think we've seen this meta kind of in some facets before, and I don't really rate Toronto all that highly on it. So for me, I feel like this is a convincing Atlanta victory. I'm going to say 3-1.
Yeah, I think I'm going Atlanta as well. Maybe not convincing, but 3-1.
I'm going to do some tea leaf reading here on.
Okay. Ours is in Gatorade, Jupiter, retrograde.
Why am I leading? Tell me why I'm leaning Toronto. Am I crazy?
You're
leaning Toronto?
I don't think it's crazy.
You're on the Himisi mimetic loud pack.
Twilight, Anna, Muse, Winston sounds kind of good to me. The problem I have with Atlanta is I think, unfortunately, Gate is out and they're kind of stuck with Hawk's hero pool. And if Winston's really important, I don't know what Hawk's going to do.
Diva? Do we hate Diva as a replacement?
I don't know that. I think she could be viable, but I don't know how good she is.
Fair.
Based on everything I know about the current upcoming meta, Winston should be king. He should be priority number 1 for tank pick, and everything else is below that, whether it's Zarya or Diva or Sigma or whatever. Well, Sigma obviously has a bit of more priority on an X-Core map, but generally speaking, Winston's got higher priority. So if I follow that thread, I come back to the tank matchup, and I lean Toronto because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Fair play. I don't hate that.
So I'm going to go Toronto 3-1. I'm going to go Toronto 3-1 for that reason alone.
So should we just do the ones that are important? I think Eric has located Hangzhou, Spark against Fusion to also be important for the third guaranteed APEC pot.
How is that head-to-head? AVRL, do you know the head-to-head?
I can bring it up. Shanghai versus Seoul for
another big one, yeah.
Old time's sake. It's not important because they're both going to make it, but for just for the rivalry, just for the rivalry,
Yeah. I hate remembering what we said last show.
Move down chronologically. Hangzhou, Chengdu, anything of value there? Chengdu kind of got to do something. I don't know.
I'm feeling like a Spark bounce back.
This guy's a Teru Necro believer.
I don't believe in them. I think it's more so that I just don't know what Chengdu are up to half the time. They're very kind of weird to me. I think that they could fit this meta, but I also thought they could have fit a couple metas previously that they just don't, and it just looks kind of wonky and goofy. And yeah, I don't know. Both teams seem like they've got some stinky locker rooms. So I'm just gonna go Shy and Alpha Yi pound, and they pound Chengdu 3-1.
No, I'm not giving Spark the time of the day. This is 3-1 Hunters.
I don't hate that either,
bro. I'm coming in with the Omega hot take.
Oh,
Chengdu 3-0. Spark.
Okay.
Why? Okay. Leave goes back on a Tracer. Jimmu goes on a Sombra. 2 great picks for those 2 players that know what they're doing. Monk gets to play his signature pick of Anna. Nisha can jump on a Lucio or a Brig, doesn't matter. And Gargan can play Winston, one of his 2 good picks alongside Ball. Everything in that upcoming comp is extremely proficient for what Chengdu want to do as a team. And Leave finally gets to leave the hit scan jail. I think Chengdu. Look, if Chengdu can't fucking win in this meta, just write them off as a team. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Perfect stage incoming based.
This is like a very, very good meta for Chengdu simply because Jimmu can play a good hero and allow Leave to finally play Tracer.
Yeah.
Boom. Done.
Yeah. Okay.
Soul Val, which is 3-0. That one.
Soul next.
We care about Paris, London.
3-0 next.
All right.
Gladiators Mayhem. I'm sorry.
3-0 next.
Also 3.
These guys got no faith in Luke Mino. Fucking hell.
No, sorry.
Luke Wamino.
Wow. These guys got no faith in Krawi. Fuck's sake.
Who?
What are we up to? Are we skipping Florida, Glad, Toronto, New York a little bit? Are we just running those off?
That's a 3-0.
Yeah.
That's a 3-0 Friday.
No.
All right.
Glad's is going to take bodies this stage, I think.
Yes.
Actually, I gotta take. I think Glad's 3-1, not 3-0.
Right.
That's fair. That's historically been.
I think Glad's are fucking bad at taking 3-0s. They're very inconsistent at 3-0s. So.
I see.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we ready for Shanghai Seoul, or you want to talk about Toronto? You talking about Toronto? 3-0? You want to go there?
3-0, yeah. New York sucks. Next.
All right. Yeah, go. Okay.
No, don't even pedal me.
3-2 defined.
3-2.
Yeah. I'm even inclined to give it to NYXL, but I'm not that hard on the hot pack.
Yo.
You're that down on the he Messi train?
Yes.
Shit. All right.
You know what train Yiska is about to get on though? Ho1, baby. Ho1.
No, it's more like.
What?
Oh, true. Yeah.
What is defined actually just going to be forced to play Muse, and then they have to use their brains once again, because beforehand it was just hotbar, zooks, run it down this. Like.
You're not wrong. I think that like Finale is definitely like competent. I think this team will be fine. I think like it might not be a 3-0, but like I don't expect New York to like get their shit together all of a sudden.
I can't wait for all the people. Look, depending on what New York do, if it's double flex support, obviously it's not an issue. Yeah. If it's single flex support for them, I can't wait for all the people that are like, oh my god, they benched Gangnam Jin. Why are they putting Ho1 in the flex support? Yeah. And I'm just sitting there like, you guys realize this is the whole reason they're signing Ho1 is because they want to play him on flex support.
Yeah.
You guys didn't realize this? Come on, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, you guys didn't see this coming? Pity you. Unlucky.
Shanghai Seoul, dude. This is actually.
Is it?
No. This is hot. This is flaming.
Is it though?
Hot. Yeah, no, it is.
I don't know.
Smurf on Winston.
I don't think it is.
Smurf on Winston. Profit back on DPS.
Yeah.
Nah.
Profit Tracer.
That's why I'm thinking. Soul just like
you ready
fucking.
For the match? Ready for the match? Let me tee it up for you. It's Fate versus Smurf Winston.
Yep.
It's Lip versus Fit Sombra.
Yep.
It's Profit versus, I suppose it's going to have to be Flitter, isn't it? Profit versus Flitter Tracer. It's Baby. No, I'm joking. It's not going to be Baby. It's Easyaki Lee Jagon versus.
I like that backline.
Fucking Eris is it now, guys? Eris Vindame. Holy fucking. Oh.
Yeah, that's going to be a sick match, but I'm not sure if it's clear for. I'm going 3-2 Dynasty, but like I think it's going to be a good match.
Let me put it this way. Profit clears Flitter. I'm sorry, Flitter's not a good season.
Big clears.
Lip clears Fitz. Lip clears. Sure. I'm sorry, Fitz. Lip has cleared him his whole career. Lip will not stop clearing Fitz now today.
Like if Flitter is currently thinking about military service and like retiring, then Profit is going to make that decision very easy.
Yes, very clear. Old Yeller.
Fucking hell. Smurf Fate.
That's a tight match.
I'm inclined to give it a Smurf here, but I think Fate's no chump.
I don't think he's a chump, but I think if this is an open meta and this is obviously first match of the season or one of the first matches.
You say open, but I guarantee you Soul play Smurf Winston Profit Tracer dive.
100%. Yeah.
The classic Soul Smurf Profit coordinated dive that they've been the best. Yep. That was their best look this year. I promise you that's what they play.
Yep. No, I feel you. So yeah, I think it's tight when it's in the head to head, but I just think that like Sombra inherently being more supportive. Granted, it is Lip, so like he's gonna output more damage than anybody else in the league, more than likely.
No, this Sombra is not supportive. This Sombra still has a 40% damage buff on hack.
Yeah. Sure, I don't know.
And Fitz was railing dudes in Overwatch 1 without that. He's about to fucking shit on people in Overwatch 2 with a 40% damage buff.
I don't know.
Is he shitting quicker than Lip though?
Is it? Well, that's what he's saying. I think it's. Are you
Lip
shitting?
is shitting on people. Lip is shitting on people.
Okay,
is he shitting on people quicker than Prophet? That's where I'm like, I don't know.
He's about to make the second best Sombra in the world in Fitz. he's about to shit in Fitz's hands and clap. That's gonna be the gap between number 1 and number 2.
He's gonna shit in his pants.
Yeah.
The gap between Lip and Fitz might actually be greater than the gap between Prophet and Fled, and that's a fucking take.
Ooh. I think that's the narrative. I think that's like the prevailing thing is like Fled is coming in. Hasn't looked good.
That's not because Fitz is bad. That's just because
Lip's fucking crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fitz is still, I think, going to be better than most other Sombras in this meta, but Lip is in a league of his own, truly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I mean,
who wins though?
I've
gassed up Lip. I have to say Shanghai. I think I've gassed him up too hard at this stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't say all of that about Lip and then be like, but you know what? For Seoul win. I can't do that. You know, that doesn't make any sense. So.
I've got Seoul 3-1.
I got Seoul 3-2. Okay.
We got some.
I think
Predators.
I should Shanghai 3-1. I think I should probably Shanghai 3-1.
Fair play.
I'm so ready for Prophet back on a DPS though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So based.
Fucking hell.
Hunter's
charge.
How much do we care about Hunter's charge?
I'm charge all the way, baby.
That's
charge
kind of
top 4.
Nah.
Is it?
Nah, dog. It's an important match.
Well, charge are trying to catch up to Hunters. I mean,
yeah.
Let's just put it this way: a Pritter plays, right? Surely a Pritter plays.
He fucking plays, boys.
Yeah. Ooh.
So
that's what I'm saying. You gotta think about this shit.
Yeah, you know,
I like it.
Yeah, but like he's still playing into Leave, dude. Like,
yes. If Hunters come in and they actually body bag Spark, then yeah, I think this is like pretty impossible.
Like,
I don't expect them to play well. That's just my opinion. That's just me.
Joe, the charge has definitely the capacity to not feel the Preta here.
You think so?
We're
probably gonna call Eileen in for a 30-day?
Dude,
they don't like Eileen. They got beef. They actually got mad beef with Eileen anyway.
Was Eileen gambling? Doing slots? Stake.com? What was that?
No.
No.
So, you guys don't believe in the Piggy dream? Come on.
No, God, Jesus. Please.
Piggy coming in on the...
I believe in Tydolla. I believe in a Prita. I got charge.
Tydolla is actually a big one.
I know.
No, Prita's bench. No, Prita's not going to play. I just realized that Prita's not going to play.
Why?
I guarantee you this team chooses choice who want to play Trace over Prita.
That would be a coaching error.
I don't know. Would it be Choice? Tracer is fucking solid. Tracer is very fucking nice.
I mean, I'm sure it's not bad, but it's not a Prita.
I think you choose Jimmy as your Sombra. My gut feeling is Jimmy plays Sombra, and you choose between Choi and a Prita for Tracer. And my gut feeling is they choose Choi.
Then you don't ever need a Prita.
Yeah, I don't know. If a Prita genuinely doesn't play, then they have fumbled. A massive player. I like Choi. Don't get me wrong, but he's not a Prita.
Yeah, no. You gotta give him some.
Give me your fumble power rankings. Not leave. Give me fumble power rankings. Chengdu Hunters dropping a Prita, or the charge picking up a Prita and not using him. Which one's the bigger fumble?
I mean, Chengdu, I think it has to be the latter. Like, you proactively chose a Prita and then chose not to play him. Chengdu had financial constraints and then had to let go of somebody, but they didn't pick Nizy.
But they let go of the wrong person.
Another pick. Yeah. Another pick.
So that's still a fumble. They let go of the wrong person. That's a fumble.
But at least it's like outside factors limiting you and having to make you make a decision. Whereas Charge is just like, no Prita. Like, that to me is the bigger fumble.
What's the bigger fumble? Letting a Prita go or letting Xerneas go?
Well, I mean, if Xerneas is being a little brat,
I do not back Xerneas. Yeah, if he's being a brat, he deserves to be let go.
Yeah, you gotta go. I back Ray. Let's go, Ray.
Yeah, I guess. Okay,
all right. What I'm trying to say is, I think Chengdu 3-0.
What? Okay.
If I back Chengdu to demolish the Spark, I back them to demolish the Charge.
They probably demolish Charge as well.
That's my logic.
I'm flipped on that. I gotta go Charge.
You're gonna go Charge?
Yes, sir. Oh. Top 4 again. Charge. Dude, going to the tournament.
My problem is
that there isn't one.
I'm neither Krong nor Piggy pilled. Like
based. So true, bestie. So true.
It's like this is my problem. Everything else I kind of like.
Yeah.
I'm going.
What have you liked about Chengdu this year? That's what I'm saying, bro.
Leaf.
No, but
Leaf's a good player.
There's a lot more to like. Is the thing. I can still see the potential there for Chengdu. I'm not sure I see it for Charge.
Am I going to go against everything I stand for and go 3-2 Charge?
Let's go, baby.
That's insane. Okay, yeah, I'm going 3-2 Charge. Yeah.
Imagine backing a team that doesn't even have a main tank. Imagine a team that has Krong and Piggy, no main tank, and no ability to play Winston. Imagine backing that team. That's wild.
I'm putting that in the piggy bank.
Yeah. Fuck. Do we? I mean, okay. If we, is
Vancouver, London is worth talking about. I think.
No? Yes.
Fully Valiant.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Is Ryan playable?
Doesn't matter.
Maybe. I think Hardy will make it playable.
I think he will. I think you've got a little bath buffage. You've got, it's maybe some double flex supports. Maybe you see a Poco sighting.
Buffage?
Bap buffage.
Bap buffage. I'm like, what is he talking about? Bath bombs?
Yeah, bath salts. I'm smoking bath salts.
Yes, that makes sense.
Baking soda.
Yeah, doing whippets right here.
What if,
deranged.
Can I paint a picture for you? What if London don't play Ryan and they just play
Winston?
Dive?
Yeah,
that works too.
I think.
What if?
I don't hate that either. I think it's, for me, this is a clear London victory, but I still think Vancouver put up a fight. I think I got them 3-1.
So if London didn't play Ryan and only play Dive, you still have them over Vancouver?
Yeah.
I think they've proven to me that they can actually play that.
Actually, you know what? You're right. Well. You're right. Vancouver don't have a tank.
Yep.
Yeah, you're actually completely right. Yeah, Mirror can't play Doom at the moment.
I feel like
you can't trust False.
Nope.
I feel like having London pinning it too hard as a Ryan team is also like mimetic. Yes, it's like really like this mimetic vehicle that you just attach to because they do it. Like what this team really has never like played it blanket on any map. They always mixed in Winston, and it was always like a little bit over suggested. In stage 2, definitely.
Agreed. Stage 2. I think in stage 1 it was a little rougher on the edges when they did pick Winston, but they at least showed.
I have a question.
Shoot.
Do you guys think Khan plays
on circuit? Yes.
If they're doing double flex, why not?
Yeah, I think on circuit maps when you see BAP, when you see in these.
But
otherwise, no.
No,
isn't BAP Landon's specialty?
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't know if it matters unless you believe someone is. So, as I pin Christopher, and I haven't talked to him about it, but if you believe Khan is like a 5 to 10% upgrade on Landon, I still think he might be of the idea to not play Khan, just to keep team atmosphere and everything in check.
Sure.
Even though I guess now it's sort of like he's integrated. Maybe like you just really play the guy that is better suited. I think ideally you probably like it. From a team perspective, I think you almost want to make double flex work more.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to force a little bit of it. Maybe on defense, on escort, maybe on circuit or something.
I'm ready to back London as well. I'll give them a 3-0. I don't have faith in Vancouver's tanks. No, I don't. False and Mirror can't. I don't think they're going to be that. No. I don't know what they're going to do in this meta. You've got a DPS player and an off tank.
And London's shown a propensity for Sombra.
No, I don't. Shock Washington. Dude, are Washington just fully fucked or like what's going on?
It's so hard to tell.
Wait, do you not have faith in the assassin Sombra? What are you doing, Joe? Come on.
Oh, somebody call Isak. No, I liked them last patch, but I think that like it was such a different patch and such a different meta that like certain teams, Toronto, Justice, maybe even Boston, Houston, some of those teams, these teams on the cusp, like I think you're going to see a kind of a big market correction. I think you're going to see Justice kind of look a little.
I'll tell you what. I think Justice will still be okay in this meta. The problem is their first 2 games are Dallas and Shock, so they will be losing. Yes,
so hard.
Unfortunately, actually, you know, I got a take. You guys ready for a take?
Oh no!
Shock 3-2. Washington got 2-0, get reverse swept
again.
Yeah, again. Yeah. Washington got 2-0, get reverse swept again. Make it 4.
It would be a shock thing.
Times. 4 times.
A shot call to make.
No, that would be a Washington thing, is what it would be.
Yeah. A little bit of them too, for sure.
I think you just, if you haven't yet, you just straight up into depression as Washington Justice.
No, I'm going 3-0 Shock.
Yeah, same.
You guys don't believe in the Washington 2-0 lead? All right.
No.
Do we care about Florida Boston? Is that an important game?
No.
I'm gonna, in a weird way, I'm gonna say that Boston loses though, because I think Florida is the wonkier team. I think they're gonna do some crackhead shit.
The wonkier team.
They got some. That gun baganja, man. I don't know what to tell you. Double flex last patch.
Yep.
I'm saying they got some
someone's
creativity.
Someone's got to roll out on either a hog or a wrist. Somehow make it work.
It's clear Florida, right? Like 3-1.
I would say so. Yeah.
Based. Okay.
Boston, like, you know, they forget what tank they're on. Like,
yeah, Mag comes in.
It's all you play. It's all you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck it. I'll give Florida 3-1 here.
Let's go.
We just go straight to to Philly, Hangzhou. I think it was Shanghai just 3-0 here, surely. Lip clears.
Lip clears for sure.
Lip clears, so who cares?
Philly,
Hangzhou. Fuck. But
what? Oh no, with Philly, Hangzhou.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I don't know. Yeah, I'll say Dragons, but
Yo, Bellis Ria back in. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, like, I thought he was quite good in midseason. He was like a standout for me. I thought his ball was actually quite nice, but I don't think he'll be playing ball. But I'm just saying, like, he's mechanically very talented.
The Lost Rail Enjoyer has locked on.
Yeah. I got this Philly, but these teams always go close, so I've got Philly 3-2.
Bro, who's the Sombra player on Philly? Are they even going to play Sombra, and who is it? Is it M3?
I certainly hope.
Carpe?
Please don't let it be Carpe. Please, Jesus, we've seen that in the past. I don't ever want to see it again.
What's Carpe's history on Sombra? I actually can't remember.
It doesn't matter. Carpe is going to play the first 2 weeks.
Is it because of the way that they aim?
Oh my god, I think actually Zest might play it. And then M3 will go Tracer, wouldn't he? Yeah.
Yep.
Because Zest is their primary Tracer player, but I think I legitimately think Zest is also their Sombra player, I think.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
But maybe they still play the Sojourn, right?
They could.
It's not impossible. Yeah.
Yep.
M3 might just stay the Sojourn.
Why not?
Definitely on some maps.
I like Philly more than I like Spark right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm on the board of that. I think I also like Philly more than I like Spark.
Same.
I also just think, well, actually, I was going to say I like what Fusion can do with the tanks, but then I forget that Gushue is on this team.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like Spark are in a weird place internally where the whole Gushue burner mix in terms of who gets playtime has been a bit wacky so far, and it's not been super positive for Gushue. And then obviously they're having the whole support issue thing. So yeah, I'll give it to Philly.
Okay.
You know what? I'll make it really close for Fusion fans, just to give them heart attacks. We'll go 3-2.
Jesus.
Ditto. Same.
No,
Samesies.
I'm going 3-1 for Fusion.
I want to know how Yiska thinks that New York will beat Atlanta. Go.
Are we not talking about Charged Dragons? Just 3-0 Dragons? I'm pilled.
I feel like,
you kind of have to, I think.
Okay, based and reality pilled.
I think there is a reality, though, that Preda does play maybe, clears Fleta, and I think it could be closer than maybe people expect.
Okay, now
I'm not gonna do lip that dirty.
You're just disrespecting Flatter now. Okay.
I've watched this kid his entire career. He has not had a good season.
I agree.
He's not had a good season.
But you're no.
I respect Lip. I think Shanghai still wins on the back of Lip's fucking broad ass shoulders, but I don't like Flutter right now. I can't.
We're not even. This isn't even the game we're talking about. Listen,
look,
Atlanta, New York.
Like Flat has already checked out. He's planning like some hillbilly hand fishing farm or something.
Fly fishing. Yeah, tell me this New York pill. Like what's this New York tip you're on about?
No, this is just like speedily.
And you're getting this in the thumbnail, by the way. Just so you know.
What?
You're gonna like New York. You're just a New York.
Why, dude? Like,
because you are.
No.
I haven't decided what it was, and you're just a New York fan.
make me a Rain fan.
Let's go, Seb. Let's go, Seb. Okay. Shout out, Seb. Shout out's the only New York fan I know.
Okay, now I have to overcompensate and say.
I think Kellen's Winston might kind of pound.
Oh, no, it's Apple.
That's about the only. But that's about that and Yaki Tracer, and that's about it probably for me. That's probably not going to be enough, right? I don't think that's enough. Just two guys in your team is not going to be enough.
Two guys being dudes? Nope.
I think this is...
I guess I go. I guess I have to. You know what? But I think New York do some stuff. I think this is Atlanta 3-2.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And unfortunately, it's going to be some messy ass game, and like it's going to break NYXL's heart, and like Atlanta is just going to bad boy off stage, basically.
Off stage? What's that even?
Atlanta will barely win against New York, and they will definitely tweet about it afterwards. Okay, the rest of these games, are they all 3-0s, or is Houston doing something to the Shock?
Hell no.
So we have Paris, Dallas, Houston, Shock, Glads, Vancouver. Are they all 3-0, or does Houston have something to say?
I'm going to take you up on the Glads Titans game. I think Glads probably drop them out.
Yeah.
They're going to do something.
That's possible.
Okay, fair enough. All right, fair enough.
That's
but I think, Outlaws could also get a map. Let's be honest.
It's Houstonable. That's for sure. I'll take that.
Yeah.
No, I won't. I 3-0 that.
Okay.
Again, the same issues I have with Houston's roster. I just
based.
I mean,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I don't hate that.
Trying to think. Oh, bro, I could totally also see Houston doing this. This is the most cursed shit ever. They're gonna play Merit Sombra and then Dante Doom and just just slam that square peg in is what they're gonna do. And the problem with that is, first of all, Doom. Second of all, Merit Sombra is just okay.
Yeah.
Like it's like,
not my
you know,
favorite.
people are like, oh, but he benched Kilo. It's like, yeah, well, Kilo doesn't even fucking play Sombra. Merit's like the last guy is like, oh, you'll do. Like, I mean, oh yeah. You know what? I don't even think Vancouver game. I'm gonna do 3-0s across the board. Dallas 3-0, Shock 3-0, Glads 3-0. Done. Finish.
Yep.
Thoughts?
I agree.
Based.
No, you don't agree. You said Vancouver gonna get one map.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, but I respect the boldness.
Exactly. Respect.
Okay. And that's it.
Yeah.
Finals games got announced. We're not going to talk about it. It's in Anaheim Convention Center, same weekend as BlizzCon, same arena as BlizzCon for Overwatch. It's going to be hype. I'm going to try and be there. Hope I'll see you there.
Yeah.
And if that will be all, guys, 263 signing out. Boom. Done. See you next week.